Hey, everybody. We are going to be live here in just a couple of minutes. I wanted to say hi, get the music running again. We have one review that we're doing today. We're going to go over foundational design for like game design and layout, like how you look at how you want to lay things out, not only just based on your skill level, but we're going to take a look at an adventure that I had not seen before and talk about how a simple one color or monochromatic design can take you really, really far. After that, we're going to touch on fonts because I know I'm a font whore, and I feel like the other person who's going to be on with me is as well. So get everything ready. Get yourself something to drink. I know it's a Sunday afternoon, but we're on before the big game tonight. You know, where my Lions defeat whoever they're playing. And if you're not a sport fan, don't worry about it. Consider that like some D&D reference. We'll be live here in just a couple minutes. Get yourself something, and don't forget, most importantly, check out Game Jam. There is a new one going on right now. This has mine on it, and then if you want to check out the guests as well, we'll drop their informational link too. Isn't Nave, right? Nave this one, right? All right, Nave. And here is theirs. So we'll be live here in about a little under 4 minutes, actually. All right, everybody, we ready for this? Let's kick the show off as I talk shit about French cuisine. Everybody, welcome to the show. It's daylight. It's bright in here. My eyes hurt. It's not dark in here. I don't appreciate it. It makes my brain melt a little bit. But we have a guest with us today. If you have done the last game jam that we just did for Shadowdark, Cree was one of the people who placed with Gristle and Vine. And then we just started talking in the background about, I think it was fonts, right, Cree? Does that sound right? Fonts is what started this shit? Game design and fonts? I did have a question. Try it one more time. There we go. Let me make sure we can hear him. Try one more time, Cree. There we go.
There we go.
Look, he's got a little EQ and everything.
Oh, I'm so pretty.
Oh, he's so cute. Yeah, you cheated. That's what it was.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, I said you cheated because you did 16 pages and I wanted to do it and I didn't. But that's exactly what it was. I remember now. So we're going to be going over a couple things today. We're going to be starting with the review. There was one more person that I promised I would review, which is Black Mask. We're going to be going over that today. I figured both of us were here, so we might as well do it together. I believe you had already looked at it. I have only gave it the cursory glance. And then we're going to jump into design foundations, kind of like how to design really any form of TTRPG's layout, especially for zines. I think specifically zines. I honestly think zines are more fun than the big large page layouts, but we'll get into that. And then we're going to talk fonts, because I think that's the biggest mistake I personally saw was a lack of negative space, a lot of it because we were doing 8 pages. And then font misuse. And I think a lot of people don't know about font families. And then you showed me a font I hadn't even seen before. How I didn't know this existed. I've used this font. I went back through and looked at stuff, and I've used this font. Never realized what it was for. So we got about 2 hours. We're going to go over this stuff, and then we got some stuff we're going to do. I got to go somewhere afterwards, so we're going to try to crank out as much as we can today. So I guess let's just go right over to talking about Black Mask of the Shadow Serpent. So let me bring us over to the page here. And let me bring up our PDF. Oh, look, you're in the corner here. Sorry you guys can't read the corner. Deal with it. The sexy drow needed its own spot.
I dominate all.
I dominate all sexy drow? What? They'd be very into that. So let's get a highlighter up. Who did this one? I'm trying to remember the gentleman. Fenris. That's what Fenris. I don't know if Fenris is around. If somebody wants to ping him in the Shadowdark chat, that'd be dope. But first thing I want to say is no cover page before we even dive in. A lot of people did this. A lot of people cut their cover page. And I disagree. I cut pages to fit a cover page. Cree, did you made sure you had a cover page, right? Like
I made sure I had a cover page. It's also why I went the A5 split versus A4, because it's 1/2 a page versus a full page that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know, man. When people are on PDF viewers, they're zooming in, so you can get away with A5 really easy.
Yep.
Really, really easy. If you use some high-res images and they blow it up and it doesn't pixelate on them, you can get away with a lot. So let me do what we normally do. So I'm not going to rate, because I can't really rate, but I'll tell you at the end kind of what my rating would be for this on the scale of 1 to 5s. I didn't get to do this one in the game jam, and they asked me to do it afterwards. I just want to scroll through it really quick. We got 8 pages, front to back. I just want to see if there's anything extra, so I'm not asking questions as we go through. Bestiary at the end. There's some smart stuff in here that I really do like already. Let me swallow this cough drop.
I believe this one was right on the cusp, too.
It was, yeah. Yeah, I didn't make the cusp. I placed like 31st, but I had popular vote of top 4 for like the entire thing. I think it's from doing this, though, because everybody's going back and clicking and looking at it. I have sold it, though, a couple times, which is great. I started the Full Moon edition for mine. I know you talked about updating Gristle and Vine a little bit. We're gonna get in stat block talk today. I can already feel it.
Yes.
I already feel it. Designer, we're gonna be throwing some ideas around. I want people to use the same stat block for each system. So we'll get into that when we do these. What do we got here? Cover page I love cover pages. This 8 pages was rough, man. I think that was the hardest part of any of that for anyone. And almost to the point to where 8 pages felt like you could do it, but when you started, you're like, this is crippling.
It really forces you to think about your word choice a lot.
Yeah.
And that has been my common critique of almost everybody's pieces is you can simplify the language and then you have more room and you can do more with your layout if you have that room.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Like cutting 3 lines a page adds up over 8 pages. It gives you space for another piece of art. It gives you space for a map if you need it. It gives you stat block. Like it really does do a lot by cutting that stuff. So let's go through this one so we can dig in the rest. First off, you are a brave soul by doing levels 5 to 7 in an 8 page,
and claiming that it's for 5 to 7.
Yeah, and claiming that it's for 5 to 7. Like you put it out there. Like that is brave. I don't think anybody else really did that high of a level. Like out of the stuff I looked through, did you notice anything?
I don't think I noticed anybody who actually said it was for 5 to 7. I think a couple people set it up so that they could be
Flex
5
it.
to 7 if they fudged a few things.
Yeah. I'm not sure I got it right. Adam, look, we all feel that way afterwards. So inspiration, we got our books here. Let me zoom in a little bit on this. I am screen sharing in a Discord. If the video starts to get weird, I'll stop screen sharing and he can just scroll on his own page. So we have 3. You got some odd covers here. Like this cover looks different than any other cover. This Ooze one, they never did their titles like this. They were always these big, weird, bold ones. I wonder if this was earlier than the rest or later than the rest. Does he have dates here? No, it doesn't matter.
It says 1923.
That might be one of the original ones. I'd be honest, I fucking love this old school title at the top. I'm not gonna lie.
I like that it actually has the structure to pull out ooze as well.
Yeah. And a lot of these, they didn't even put the title of the weird tail on. Like mine didn't have its name on it. And everyone's like, where's the name? It's like, I didn't make the cover. It's not there. So let's go over this here. Inspiration. I've taken a little bit from all 3 of these covers as fodder for this adventure. From the House of Golden Mask comes the 3 masks of the Sun Serpent, which are integral to a puzzle at the heart of my adventure. Brave for doing a puzzle. I have a lot of point of views on puzzles. From the Man Who Has 2 Men, we have the element of a mad scientist trying to clone himself using a half-understood alien technology. Okay, that goes together well. Did you read these adventures? I didn't read any of this shit. And then from Ooze comes the Shadow Serpent itself, an undulating mass of shadow, spawn goo lying in wait, sealed in well of night. Visual elements for all 3 covers are used. So I didn't read my stories at all. Did you?
I read one of my 3. And then after I finished reading it, I was like, all right, I'm not going to waste my time on the other 2.
I just don't want them to. I didn't want them to inspire me more than the covers did. And I know if I would have read it, they would have been kind of sitting in the back of the brain.
Oh, mine was. People thought very differently back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, this is some heavy metal magazine covers right here. This is heavy metal mag. I used to work for that company, Heavy Metal. That's some classic, like Howard-esque sci-fi pulp horror. But you immediately go into giving us the setup. Is that what this is right out of the gate? A ragged man starved half to death, stumbled out of the jungle and collapsed on the edge of a scruffy little river trading camp you are currently calling home. He was racked with a fever and raved for half a day before dying. Well, this motherfucker should have stayed in the jungle. Despite his best efforts, of the local drunk who passed by as a physician. Passes a physician? Drunk as a physician? Is this Bones? That's a Star Trek reference for those who don't know. He was drunk all the time. I 100% believe that man was drunk all the time. That's how he tolerated Kirk. But that's not who you want working on you. That sounds like my time when I was in Thailand and got injured. That's what was working on me, was a drunk physician. No joke. So mostly screams and wild cries about snake men and mask gods. But as few lucid moments, you can piece together that he was the last remaining member of an expedition that went in search of a lost temple of the sun serpent. Is Asola? It is now, if it wasn't before. As he raved, several phrases repeated that have sent rumors whirling. Phrases like, he should never have done it, and we couldn't get out, and most interesting, wondrous golden masks. That sounds like I'm robbing the place. This is a really big setup piece, is my first thing. This is a lot of story for this when you only have 8 pages. I think you're risking some space. That's my point of view.
I think 3 sentences is usually pretty good, and this is only 4, but it is 4 long sentences.
Yeah.
I think you can get in and get out a little faster.
I think if you could have made it this big, just these 2, and then that would have gave you a chance to maybe put a table or something on this page to get people indoctrinated into your cult. I mean, Shadow Serpent.
Well, and some of this is where you can help yourself out as a designer by working it into the rumors.
Yeah, I think, yes, that's what I did. I cut a lot of my stuff and put them in rumors or in, like, if you read tables in a good adventure, they kind of tell you the story that's unfolding.
Yes.
Like, really, really do.
When you're short on space, trying to densely pack all that information throughout everything you do is the #1 goal. And so this is one of those setups where, and keep this in mind, this is for a GM. A GM is going to kind of look at their rumors and whatnot probably before they start.
Right.
That helps set up the story. They can choose any of those rumors to hand out for free as part of the setup for the players as well.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and also, like, that's something to keep in mind with tables. You don't have to. That's just there if you want to roll. I'm a very random GM when I'm running stuff. I'm seat of the pants for a lot of it. I shouldn't say that. I plot web and flow charts. But I love a good rumor table because I'd be like, oh, this is perfect because the group gotta remember, one-shots are usually getting put into a campaign. Not always, but a lot of times they are. When you're doing an adventure design, having those rumors gets the GM to think about how they plug it into what they're about to do. So I think that works really well. The story's fine. I mean, it's classic bad shit happened in the jungle. But I'm curious to see what draws me in to go, because as of right now, there's a drunk physician, and that's the real problem in this city. No, I'm just kidding. My stitches were so messed up from that guy. Oh, man.
He stitched his name into my
scar. No. The stitches were just bad. I could have stitched them better myself under duress. It was horrible. But you and your comrades have an ace in the hole, a fragment of parchment. So they have a parchment that he dropped. So this I would have bolded or something. I would have wanted the GM to not miss this. This is one of those elements that if you don't slap the GM in the face with it, they may miss it and not figure out how the fuck they're supposed to tie him in. Or just a heading that just says tie in or hook, whatever it is you want to. Hook is the term that most of Shadowdark users use, I believe.
Yeah.
I would have done something like that and then save some space. The headings and stuff are fine. We talked about this off air, like I think right afterwards. Was this from the kit? Are these from the kit?
Yes.
Okay. I like the font choice. This was something we talked a lot about. This has got that eerie, wildlife, creepy, unnerving feel to it. I do actually really enjoy this font. I know I have it in my terabyte of fonts somewhere.
It's the next one that I don't like. The Viperian Countdown.
Not the body, but the other heading one. Yeah, so before we dive into the breakdown on this, because we're going to be talking about the fonts a lot, what is your issue with the font? I think ours are the same.
It's when you have a big bold on that big black, it reads really well. When you have a nice thin on a big black, it's very hard to read.
I think you could have all caps this and got away with it.
Yeah.
I think you could have all caps this and it would have made a big difference. In design, we break a lot of the proper... well, first off, in adventure design, we break certain sentence structures. We don't put periods at the ends of certain things to identify things. Like, grammar exists in our fluff and in our like the actual like literature pieces, like the parts you're gonna read. But in a lot of other things, I don't know about you, you break format constantly because it's about visual formatting more than anything else, I think. Read well, visual formatting, and those swap. So I think I'd have capped this whole thing like you did up here and see how it turned out. But I agree. This is a problem with any kind of typewritery font, is how I explain it to most people. When you get these A's, when you get this P, when you get these E's and you bold them, they look weird. There's something about them that just doesn't read well on that background too.
They have to be designed to be bolded properly, and yeah. I'm not sure this one was.
Anything that has a textured shape to it is hard to bold. You lose the nuance.
Yeah.
But that's just, those are little picks. And then I did have a question when we were going through this. Were you the one who had to make the tables elsewhere and bring them in? Is that why these are pixelated? I'm guessing that's true, Adam.
I believe that was the case.
I believe that. I remember reading that back in the day. I'm just trying to do some retcon callback. So let's get into the adventure. Right here, this adventure is a pressure cooker beyond the normal pressure that comes underground with torches burning low. There are several other knobs and dials GM can twist and ratchet things up. I love this kind of stuff.
Oh, so you said, I didn't do rumors because show not tell. And I'm going to tell you, rumors is showing if you do it right.
And it's part of Shadowdark.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the MO. So I know there's been a lot of discussion in the Shadowdark chats about following format versus breaking format, especially with monster stat blocks, which will light that fire later. But there's something about rumors being a part of hooking people in. Thank you, Adam. I thought it was. So don't worry about the pixelation. I thought that was the case. Everybody had some problems with tables. But I do like having dials. I'm a big fan of clocks from Blades in the Dark. I bring them to almost every game I use, or sometimes timelines, or sometimes pips just to track timing. Because I think that pacing is the one thing GMs suck at, and it's the hardest thing for a GM to learn is pacing. And that's any of the awards I've won from doing tabletop like role-playing tournaments, like storytelling tournaments, is because of pacing. And it's hard to convey pacing to paper because pacing is really a feel at the table, but things like knobs and stuff to turn up stuff to make players go do things are really nice because they do it without making things feel linear if they're done right. No hyperlinks. I know. We're going to get there. People will be very upset. There's no drinking. How dare you?
Well, we got it right there.
Yeah, I did say hyperlink. That's true. I have coffee with some whiskey in it this morning because I have a sinus infection and my throat hurts. So encounters. Use crawling with snakes table. Italics in this font is hard to read. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but I don't. That's a weird italics. I'm not blaming you on this one. This is the font maker's problem. What font was this? Do you know? I don't know. Do you? Is this Mon?
Off the top of my head.
Is that Monsat? Something?
It looks like Montserrat.
Yeah, Montserrat. That's what it is. Table on the following page for random encounters. See, right here. This right here. This could have been a hyperlink. Note that there are no activity or reaction rules. The snakes are always trying to eat you. Snakes on a motherfucking plane. They are always trying to eat you. That is not a lie. I agree with you. I think that's smart.
Oh, you know what? If this is Montserrat, you probably could have used medium italic to get it to have the weight. Because a lot of italics, what they do when they design them is they,
for sure.
Yeah, they thin them out as part of the italicizing to get it to look right. And so you need to almost always choose a weight heavier to get it to look the same.
Yeah, because it's it's an optical illusion. Even if it is this, they do it to make you feel like it's leaning, and it is leaning, but it allows them to not kern it as much as they would in other fonts. And if anyone has questions on words that we use, since you have layout and font nerds, just ask, we'll explain. There's a lot of it that you'll see later on. We have some cool web pages for you guys to look at. The whole font family now, yeah, absolutely, Adam. That's the truth.
Yeah, once you find your font family, though, you never leave it.
No, it's true. I have 2 that I'm a big fan of. So they're not trade secrets, but I sure as shit ain't telling you. Viperian Countdown. The Viperians who live in this part of the jungle both fear and respect the temple and guard it diligently, using signposts like drums in the distance to let players know that the longer they hang around, the more Viperians are going to show. Okay, cool. Increase the loudness and frequency of the drums. I like this. This would be a great thing to have a drum soundtrack to. This would be a great spot for a hyperlink to a playlist. I would have, like, that's, I've seen a lot of people, I myself even put, I didn't have time to make a playlist, but I put like inspired by in the bottom of mine for music and movies. And I think that I've always loved when designers do that stuff and writers do that. But a drum, like even if it was Indiana Jones Temple of Doom or something, linking it's fine. You're not using it, not playing it, so that's not illegal. You can link anything. They want you to share their shit. But I do love that. That's great. Mad Alchemy. Heinrich Finch was attempting to make clones using the Golden Serpent mask. Experiments went tragically wrong because of the unforeseen influence of the dark aspect of the goddess Sola. The clones went berserk, broke out of their vats, and started killing everyone. So the first thing I'm going to say is I love all this, but these could have been chopped down a little bit. There's a lot of verbiage. We talked about this in the last couple reviews. People only remember 5 descriptors. I love when the beginning of stuff has like, well, we might see this in your rooms. Obviously, we're not there yet, your locations. But I think this is a lot of setup when I think you could have portrayed this with maybe this much of it and saved yourself some space. You think so?
I agree.
Like it's just a little.
My main critique.
Little too, and I'm after once or twice this, I won't say it anymore because now you'll just look at your paragraphs that you're writing and chop them down to a couple sentences. There are spaces for paragraphs. Don't get me wrong. I do like this. I love alchemy. I want to know why the masks are part of alchemy though.
Transmutation of gold.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we getting into some transmuter shit here? Because if so, I'm all about a gold serpent. That means you get to make your snakes armored.
Which is something I had a criticism of on the next table.
We'll get there.
With crawling with snakes. Yeah.
Serpent of Darkness. There's another countdown to the climax of the adventure as the serpent god breaks free of the well of darkness. This should push the players up out of the temple as they attempt to flee the Viperians or push down to the temple. Players get caught in the nutcracker. So they're basically rocking a hard place. No hard place in a rock. Rocking a hard place? I don't know why I forgot.
Rocking a hard place.
Yeah, rocking a hard place. For these counters, I'm going to scroll quickly. I would have put a counter. Whoops, I didn't mean to highlight all that shit. Come on. I would have put something down here that they could have tallied. Like where things are, how things are going. Like I would have had a tally counter somewhere or told people to make one or wrote one like down here just so they could track where the creatures are and you have a better idea of those 2 timers. Because when you give somebody a mechanic to use, you need to give them something visual. Even if it's just circles on a page. It doesn't have to, I mean, look at Shadowdark. Everything is very clean. You could have just put single circles and then, or scales if you wanted to get spicy, and fill in those scales so you have like a timer for the countdowns. Because I'm assuming you are running a Shadowdark timer during this. That whole like crawler timer, right? Also, that's another thing that a lot of people, I think, use wrong. The timer doesn't always have to be round to round. Just for other Shadowdark people who are running things, you don't have to make it round to round all the time. Like, hex travel really just means land travel. And unless it's a dangerous situation, you don't need to go round to round. You can go every 10 minutes of real time, since real time's part of it, or you can flex it to where, this feels like it's about time for me to roll. But I would do something where you have a timer for that. Any thoughts at all before we go into your favorite part, which is the tables?
I think on this, you probably could have condensed it into the Viperian countdown as well for that Serpent of Darkness.
Oh, yeah. Like, take this piece and stick it up here somewhere.
Yeah. Or
Bullet
found
points.
a way to make the mechanic double up.
I mean, even some bullet points to break this up, some of the word salad would have helped a little bit. But I do agree. But I love the concept of this. I just think one
100%.
more iteration pass would be perfect. So now we get into the countdown. The countdown begins on turn 3. So you're already telling people when. I would have bolded this. This is one of those important pieces of pacing that the GM needs to not forget. I like to use bold. Actually, Cameron does a really good job of this. I didn't get to read his new adventure, but the one he did here, and the beginning of his, and I did the same thing. He has formatting notes. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but he tells you what bold, what italics, what bold and italics, and what parentheses are for. Like in the front of the book, like in his opening page. And that was super cool. You could get it into a box. This is a little big. But that is awesome because you could have been like anything that's bold is an important part for the adventure.
Yep. I do it for specific mechanics.
Yeah, specific mechanics too. Yep. And you train your people over time. And this isn't a criticism. This is just ideas for you to take home and do what you want with. You can burn it, but you know what I'm saying. Every 3 turns after the drums are heard, roll a d6. So you gotta, what is it? What is the timing when it's every 3? It's not deadly. Deadly's every 1, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember the 3 terms, even though it's on. I put them on the side of mine because I could not fucking remember. I literally did that. But I like that's every 3. More drums, closer, louder. Add +1 to the next roll. 6 plus Viperian. So I like this little stacker here. I do like this. This is very Shadowdarky. Like you see it in the talents. Thank you, unsafe. Yeah. You see it in the talents. You see that kind of stuff. I like the +1 because eventually you're going to add up to catastrophic failure. Yes. You're going to get eaten. You're going to get eaten by vipers. Viperian forces remind me of G.I. Joe. It makes me happy. I just...
Cobra Command.
Little nostalgia, all the different Viper segments he had. So the following Viperian forces arrive when listed. Each time you roll a 6+, and it grows. I think that's smart. Is this the table you're talking about, or is it the one on the next page?
Next page.
So this is your scouts, your warriors, your what do you got? Outfit and scouts, and then you get a wizard and warriors. And I'm assuming, without talking too much, I'm assuming this whole thing is on the last page with your monsters. Yep. Wait, was that all of them? Warrior and scout. So is wizard, I'm assuming, just wizard?
Wizard is part
right there. Yep. Thank you for doing this, by the way. Thank you for adding this. If you didn't put the page numbers right into the stat blocks, thank you for putting a key at the end. I think that's very smart. So that's that. And then we get into this. This is where I really think this font shines, actually. Yes. This here. I would have, this is me as a designer. I would have moved it closer to the word. I would have taken the lighting in between. I would have squished that down. I think I'd have put the temple and above just a little closer together. But I do like how it kind of makes the shape of a temple as a logo designer. Like it gives you that kind of Aztec-y feel to it.
Yeah.
But I love this font. I like it more than I did before. This even looks like a snake head at the bottom.
You know, the A. Now that I'm looking at it, I almost think it should be bigger.
The font, just blow that bitch up and get big.
Yeah, make it as wide as that column.
Yeah, you could have blown it apart a little bit. This is good though. This font gives me ideas. I almost want to put it in Photoshop and scale texture. Anyway,
yeah.
So Temple Glade. This is one of those spots where you got this nice bold one. Again, I don't know, man. I agree with you. I think this heading. I think a change in this heading is something I would look at if you're going to touch this again. Also, there's nothing wrong with never going back to this. I want everyone to know if you put something out and you're like, I'm just not happy with it all. I would rather start from scratch. That's fine too. You don't have to revisit. But if you do, you have some clean maps on here that you're using and some good design. I think a couple hour pass through and a cover, you could do something pretty cool with this. So the Temple Glade. So let me zoom out one. This is our Temple Glade. That's one. That's the opening is here is what we're looking at. Verdant growth, brilliant birds, insect hum, pale graceful ruins, choked with vines. I love these short descriptions. I'm fine with them. You could probably even chop it more if you needed to, but I think I would have chopped them a little bit, and I like my descriptions in either italics or in parentheses, so I know that it is for me to use to describe to players. Do you have any thoughts on how you do your blocks?
Because I don't do that, I'm less inclined on the italics for descriptors because I use italics for mechanics.
Dude, what about parentheses though? I think parentheses around them are great. It's only two, you're only technically using 2 characters to identify something.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a DM or GM to read this though. Like, this is for them.
No,
so
I mean
that picture.
Yeah, to call out for themselves. And I guess since these are all just call outs, maybe it doesn't matter as much. I might have put something underneath the Temple Glade telling people descriptions. Just because when you're scanning a page for things, when I am GMing, I am looking for iconography or typeset or something that lets me know when I should be using something to talk about it.
So this is where what I would do is I would remove the look.
Bye, Amalith.
Because the look has that same appearance as Central Courtyard statues and features. So it has a call out, but it's not a call out. It's the very first thing. It's the description of the area.
Right.
And it's the same
this part here.
Every single right at the very top of the underneath Temple Glade where it says look, verdant growth, brilliant birds. You don't need the word look.
Yeah, no, I don't think you do. I don't think you would need her to do that.
And then once you remove that,
this piece here
if you remove just the word look, it automatically does everything you're saying.
Yeah, I think that is
with quotations and italicizing.
Yeah.
And it gives you the iconography on the callouts for the Central Courtyard, the statues, and the features.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I was looking at look as I was abbreviating it in my head to like lookout or something along those, or outlook. But yeah, that makes sense. Really, you could have just titled whatever this was, entry or whatever it was, and let people know. And because none of these have stats or rules in them, they are just descriptions of the space itself. I agree. I think that could have been a real clean way to fix it. And simple. It was simple.
Yes.
What is someone says maybe use iconography in place of the words. I like iconography. I'm a big fan of little icons to showcase pieces. It depends on what I'm doing, but even just like a little black icon for things that are important, or a GM or a star for GM notes. I do love that kind of stuff so that a GM can scan quickly. I also highlight the shit out of my zines when I'm going to run one. I color all over them. No one else is ever going to use it. And if it is that way, I'll sell it for more. If I'm ever going to resell a zine, I'll sell for more if I did notes, because I did work for you. I usually just give it to somebody else to run. But this is where we really wanted to talk, and I think you and I were 100% on the same page for this. This was your chance to inject weird.
So much weird.
You could have injected some crazy things, like a giant snake with a half-swallowed person.
A golden snake.
Yeah, 3 cobras covered in gold and glittering gold. A snake swarm with a backpack underneath. Just enticing players to try to get it. Even the things you have here, and you do have the space to widen it too. Like, I know you screenshot and put these in, but I mean, if I undo this, like, you technically have all the way to this 2 here to kind of highlight it. So I would have really pushed this for some motherfucking snakes on a motherfucking plane level of craziness. Like, if someone opened a backpack and there wasn't a snake swarm in it, I would be disappointed.
Especially when you had a ranting drunken physician screaming about masks and snakes
Yes.
and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity for those mad ravings to make sense.
100%.
Clue the reader in that maybe he's not insane.
In real life, I was traveling for guard work, and I was in Greece, and I found a bottle next to a beach, and there was a whole bunch of them. It was like a 6-pack with 4 drinks left in them, and I grabbed the first one and pulled it out and didn't realize that it had a fucking snake in it. And I was like, oh. And I went to take the top off. I was like, oh, the top is loose. I don't know if someone put it in there, they captured it, if it did it, and someone capped it because it was fucking poisonous. But man, could you imagine if you gave them a potion bottle that was like foggy and nasty, it wasn't good anymore, and they open it, drink it, and they get bit by a snake? That's some devious shit. I would have done
with jungle moss or mildew.
Yes,
because the biome inside of it is.
What'd you put in chat? Yeah. What'd you put in chat? A pop can of snakes. Exactly. Like I want that kind of stuff. I think that is those things that really bring some weird, and honestly, not even weird. It brings character to a what would be a plain thing of snakes. We've all fought snakes in a campaign. Your job as a designer is to make it feel different than every other motherfucker before you.
Yep.
As much as you can.
This is where tone starts to drip.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, this is when you see the thoughts and ideas of a designer. Like, this is when I'll tell you what, I can look at rumors, hooks, and creature, like crawling with snakes, that kind of stuff, and you can really tell what designer it is. Tim Hitchcock is one of my favorite people for that. Like, I can read one of his, and if there's like undulating flesh somewhere, I'm like, this is Tim's. So they're always hostile. Good note, by the way. I do want to say thank you for putting that there. They're always hostile. People don't think that way because in Shadowdark, some things aren't. Some people forget that most things aren't hostile when you meet them. I love that you put, now you're getting bit. You're getting bit. Our friend Craig in my Discord lives in Texas. Speaking of Texas, he's walking his dog. And he's like, almost stepped on this. And there's a nice, big, poisonous copperhead. It's like, yeah, lucky stub your dog. You did the same thing again here. The look, we're not, this last time I'll say it, chop that. Very clean, 30 foot wide. If you put a grid down here, or you put measurements, you wouldn't even need to put this stuff on here. This wouldn't even need to be here. If you didn't want it, because you would have it on the map if you just put a grid below it. That's my personal opinion on maps. Maps are there to cut out writing.
Yes.
And you can do a lot of fun stuff. I do have a conversation that I think maybe we should talk about this here. We're talking about formatting and creating style for like your font and your formatting style. From now on, I'm claiming this now, and I do this in my home games. I'm fucking done writing this. I'm going to put D, DC, and the number and be done. It's as long as I teach you in the beginning, a little tiny box. I think SDC, CDC, all the way down. Charisma could be CH if you want, or just a different letter in general. Make it an X. That's usually what you replace things with, or a Z or whatever, or an H. It doesn't matter. I think if you put those DCs and you just put a number there, or DC 12D, yeah, you can do it that way as well. People just know what they're rolling. And it cuts down having to write this. I also think DCs don't need the space between the DC and the number. That's my personal belief. I think you bold the DC, or maybe bold the DC and the 12, depending on the font. I don't think you have to do this. I'm tired of this being here from 3.0 and on. That's where this all started.
Yeah. It was after our conversation about it that I thought, putting it after the number is probably the way to go, because everybody starts reading it in this block format of DC 12.
Yeah, I just don't like the look of it as much. I like the number to stand alone. Otherwise, it feels like you're teaching them a new dice, like D66 and shit like that. Like, it feels dicey to me. Mm-hmm. Not dicey like choppy, but dicey like using dice. I would rather have it be part of the already alliterated difficulty class. by having the letter in front of it. Maybe even small in front of it is an option. I'd have to play with it, but I definitely, nope, see, I don't want to add extra shit. The goal is to take that piece and chop some things out because you use DC so frequently. The other thing I do is at the bottom of my pages, I put DCs on a scale of the easy through extreme, and I put the numbers there, and I'll circle the one that's the most prominent for that page. It works great. So if everything's at 12, fuck it. You can just say Dex. Require a Dex roll, and then at the bottom, they know everything's at 12. That's another way to do it. I think it's cool. You can even put Dexes or 12s here and cons or whatever and just put it above the difficulty. There's a bunch of fun ways you could do it, but I'm tired of seeing this stat block. It just pisses me off every time. This is not a call out on you. That was a general rant. Well, the sun is in the middle. This place is not that large. Like overall, looking at measurements. Your map needs a scale, buddy. Need a scale if you're not using grid. Something. Or architecture measurements if you want to go that far. That takes some skill, though. Because if you don't do it perfectly, as someone who's done that shit, it looks bad. You get your hand slapped over and over in that kind of class. You know that. You get hand slapped if your lines are too big for your measurements and they don't go exactly to certain spots. But so far, like this, I just think I love the map. I think you should just clean that one up and make it fun. I should not clean it up. Add some fun. Altar the Sun. Again, we already know. We've talked about this part. Magnificent carved scenes of Hyperion worship. You do set the tone for the look of the place really well. Asola, the Noonday Sun. I would have bolded these just to do some call outs for, or italicize, whatever formatting you want to use. I just like to see where important things are. Let's see here. A secret door. DC, let's say for like example, you put DC 15 here because you assume that everyone knows what you roll for secret doors. Abolish the tyranny of the grid. I don't mind grids for units of measurement, not tactical combat. That's two different conversations. Fucking use a hex if you don't like a grid, but having a faint overlay on maps makes it easier to tell the size of rooms instead of having writing here, because I'm not going to go back and read these every time. A lot of times when I run a game, I don't know about you, Kree, I just look at a map.
Yeah. I mean, I design my maps to be the entire room description anyway for my home game. But for anything I produce, like, there's a grid to it. Even if I don't put it in specifically, like, you can tell the way that I've structured the
It makes it easier to draw it. Mm-hmm. I will say, though, I do understand why you're saying abolish the tyranny of grids. I do understand you. I see you. So Dawn and Dusk, I wanted to ask, I don't have a hard opinion. There's something that it's not working for me, but these titles, they stand out, but something's off for me. I don't know if it's the line underneath being extended further. I don't know if it's the font. Also, this is just me. Use an ampersand. It's great. Just abuse it. Beat it up. D&D doesn't own it. I love ampersands. I think they're a great mark to cut down 2 letters on titles and things like that. You don't want to use them in all your sentences. It gets a little redundant. But is there something with you? Like, how would you fix this? Like, does it read off to you?
It does, and it's because of the spacing for me.
Do you think if they were centered?
No, I'm okay with it being left justified. My issue is that the gap between the bottom of the title, 3 Altar of the Sun, and the top of the next line is the same, if not smaller gap than the very last line of Secret and 4, Dawn and Dusk.
You know what? I think my solution would have been, this is one of those times where I would have extended this art out and I would have put it up under it. And then let the spacing breathe, for the breakdown of the different paragraphs or the structure. Because I don't think I'd have made it bigger. I don't think that's a solution. I think I'd have nestled it a little bit.
And it may also be that this is a thin font for the title, and so the bold for the callouts underneath it are the same weight. And so you'd lose some of that hierarchy of information.
I think I would have used the same space between the line and alter between the top of the next paragraph and that. I think I would have used that same thinner line and try it. We could be wrong, obviously. You don't know until you do it. A lot of this is just, I think when designers talk, a lot of times it's a thought process of the things we would try, step back, look at it, and say, oh, that was a fucking mistake, and change it. Or we would keep it like that and go, yeah, that was perfect. Note to self. Here's how I handle fonts like this. But something to think about. It's not a big negative, but we're talking about cleaning up, and this is foundation and a font review for a lot of our stuff today.
Yeah, and Kiwi, you're right. It would encroach into the white space, but it depends on the margins of that white space. So if this is just half an inch margin on the exterior, which is what it looks like, it may not be possible to do.
Well, right? You don't need a gutter this big, though.
Also true. So you can shift that all in, and that may just be a software issue.
Could be
not using InDesign or something.
And so the only thing I was going to say is if you did take this over to kind of nestle it, it does act like a bullet point where I don't even think you need the dot. I also don't think when you do room numbers you need dots next to them. I think you can ditch the dot. I don't think it's needed. I wouldn't put it on a map. I don't think it needs to be here. That's a personal design opinion. I think you can just put 4 space and people fucking know what it is. The dot doesn't serve purpose. I don't know about you.
I have no opinion on that one.
I think it's a waste of space. I know it creates repetition and pattern to make people look at it, but the size of it does it already. And I think if you just kind of nestled into it, I don't know. I think it could look kind of cool. Something to try. At the very least, try it, and maybe you'll look at it and go, nah, they're idiots. It doesn't look good. So here you didn't repeat your thing. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
You have the altar of the sun, you have a dawn and dusk, and you did not repeat it here. I wonder why. To the east and west are 2 more altars. I think instead of this art here, I would have cut this section of the map out. What is this? 3 and 4 and what else? 3, 4, and 5. So I would have went like this. I'd have cut that thing, and I think I'd have dropped that here. Hell, you could probably have fit this in the corner underneath your number, even if you still wanted some art. Or you could have broke up this section with it. But I think I'd have put the map here so you could reference it. That's the biggest mistake I was mad about that I didn't do in mine, is have more room to put my hex map. East and west, smaller than the other altar. I think you don't need to do the title every time. Oh, no, because there's 2 versions. I see. Because there's Dusk and Dawn. Okay. His face looks to the east. So is this the beginning of the puzzle? No, it's just description.
There's two 4s.
Yeah, there's Dusk.
Yeah, I think correct. It's just
they're across from each other.
Rooms. Yeah.
And you would have had to cut a lot to do that. I still might have put the map there, to be honest. Is this a 2-page spread? I didn't even look at that. Yeah, you would at least be able to recognize it if it was in 2-page. So maybe you wouldn't need to, because you can go from here to here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So something to think about. 2-page spreads are great. That's the biggest thing about Canva, me test running Canva for doing this shit, is I can't look at 2-page spreads the same. Yes, no. Sure. I don't know which one of those are 2, but yes, no. We'll take it. Ruined Laboratory. This is the space that I'm excited about. Barricades 2 entrances to this room have been barricaded with logs and scraps of wood. Red fletching arrows. So, there was a standoff here. Classic standoff trope here. Laboratory, someone recently constructed. Right here. This here, I would have had motherfucking snakes in this motherfucking wood. I'd have had wood snakes.
I would have forced the encounter on that, you mean?
Mm-hmm. I'd have forced it.
Yeah.
I'd have had snakes with arrows in them. Make it a quick encounter, cut their hit points down because they're already wounded, but make them hyper aggressive. Maybe they get an advantage on their first attack or something fun. I'd have had a nice little encounter piece here, because this just cries to jump your people. Because they're like, oh, the combat's over. The arrows are there. It's done. Maybe I can go collect these arrows. I would even put they could collect these and then jump their ass for doing it.
Yeah, and this is one of those where you don't even have to come up with a new stat block. You could just use Cobras. as you said, divide the HP by half.
Yep.
And then just put a whole bunch of flavor on top.
Yep. Just frosting that snake. I know that sounds really wrong now I said that out loud, but you know what I mean. I do think you could have done something with that. I like forced encounters once in a while. I think it's something that's missing in a lot of Shadowdark, to be brutally honest. I think a lot of people just fall to the random encounter table, and I think if an encounter has purpose, fuck the rule, just make the encounter. Someone recently constructed a laboratory here, which has been destroyed, loose papers, shards of glassware. If you could have fit a random table for this room, you could have put things like scrolls, items that were usable for the adventure. Ben talks about it a lot, where you should be giving items out that make the adventure interesting. They don't have to be crazy powerful, but something that could be used to solve problems. Basically, answers to problems is what you want your items to kind of be. I think that could have been a good spot for something like that. And again, you have this blank space. Maybe you could have put something here for it if you didn't do the map.
I think you could lose half of it just because you said ruined laboratory.
Sure, I just would have made it. If they fought to get in, I would have gave them a table to roll on if they searched it.
Oh, 100%. But like you can.
I would have just put laboratory and just put a fucking stat block or a table, maybe a D4. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could have been like major priest scroll. And if you haven't seen the other shows, I talk about in the book that priests are a D6 every level, and wizards are a D12, I think. And you can just roll and count down on the scroll list and be like, oh, wizard level 1, boop, done. I've numbered mine in my book now. If that tells you how often I use that. I don't know if Kelsey did it on purpose. I feel like they did it to make everything exactly the same. I don't know if she realized she just created a table in the spells.
I don't know, but I do the same thing, so.
I use it constantly. Glass vats, 8 man-sized glass vats line the back wall. Each one has been smashed out from the inside. Good little call, a little foreshadow here. Green fluid is dried on the glass and on the floor, mixed in or drops of foul black ichor. I'm assuming the black ichor is blood. Rare chemicals mixed in the devastation are some of the interact vials and jars of rare alchemicals worth worth 300 gold pieces. I might have put XP here. I think a lot of people forget that gold is XP, and I would have told them what the XP is so that they don't go to the wrong table. That's the one confusing thing in Shadowdark, is it is by a level by gold amount. Like, you could get 300 gold, and it's not worth as much at level 1 as it is at level... You know what I mean? Like, it...
Yeah.
I would have put an XP thing there. I really would have. Just to remind GMs, because this is new for GMs, and you want the purpose of 300 gold at level 5 to 7 to feel like they're being rewarded for levels 5 to 7.
Or which we're going to the XP in parentheses.
yeah, in parentheses, 100%, right at the end of it. And that's one I would have had a formatting for, I think. Just because this is a lot of text and you need some formatting to make easy callouts. Kaboom, great title. The containers are delicate. They have a 3 in 6 chance of breaking if jostled. I have a story about the word jostled. If Kelly was here, she would lose her fucking mind. We were told when we were doing a D&D event, we were told that no, we couldn't cast our spells because we were being jostled in an adventure league. Jostled wasn't a condition. It wasn't a thing. And this person just was telling us how to play our characters. 2 years later, after I told this story at a Paizo party, jostled became a condition, those motherfuckers. Don't tell designers your fears. That's what I learned. Don't tell game designers your fears. Jostled, that's a great... No one's used that term before. I'm like, don't you fucking dare. And sure enough, it was a condition in Pathfinder. So when they combine and explode doing... Oh, so you can make bombs. Break the combine and explode. So if they were carrying 2 of them together and they threw them at somebody, that'd be a great way to make bombs versus the snakes.
Yep.
I do. So the reason I say Kiwi to do that is this is a level 5 to 7 adventure. And I feel like a year into Shadowdark, we're still training new GMs. And with a one-shot, I kind of want to help them understand what type of experience you should be giving out for those. If you just say 300 gold and they look it up, they may give out way too little, or they may give out a lot. And again, it's not a requirement. It's a, you could do this. It's not a, if you don't do this, you're doing it wrong. I like having the experience numbers there for people, for GMs to kind of have a milestone / like jumping off point. But I think that's just a different GMing style too. I don't use experience in most games. I use milestones. Shadowdark is the only game where I have the treasure be the reward, or boons or whatever, because I've found that this style of experience that you do in Shadowdark makes people adventure and do things and not always fight, because I never give them experience for killing shit unless it's a hunt. Tracks, footprints, traces, both green liquid. I like the little description. That's nice. Well, the sun leads back. On this map, you could have done some cool color footprints. Something to think about. To remind people, like if you want to have your map have a little bit more to it. They make footprint brushes. For those who don't know, if you have anything, you can get footprint brushes. They're your best friend. Any of those pattern ones are super cool if you use them right. I don't know. Do you have any of those? I have tons of like crazy pattern brushes. I don't know.
I don't. I just make a smear and then erase a line through the middle, and it does it up normally.
Oh,
right? Like so
I have like
it's so easy to make
scales and all that. I just have a ton. I have city blocks for doing like randomized city blocks when I have to draw quick maps. Yeah. It's super fun. But you could have drawn it by hand. It's footprints. It's not hard. Copy and paste, baby. That's how we did it in the old school. Or the clone stamp also works if you know how to use it right. Something missing. Steel plate with the shape of a mask burned into it. I like this little call out. That's kind of cool. Scattered paper. Much of the paper on the floor seems to be pages of a journal. Why is this here?
I think.
I wish it did something.
Some of these should just be part of that table you were talking about for random treasure. This one, I think, probably could use its own block, because it's foreshadowing other events or backstory that have happened. Right?
Oh, do you think like it's not a 4 or 5, but a call out? Like maybe even like a gray box behind it or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think a little call out here would have been nice. That's kind of why I was reading this going, this is important information. Like, this is a don't skip me or you might fuck up moment.
Also, it helps break up that, because this is we're still in one room.
Yeah, it's a word salad.
Yeah, so it would help break it up.
It's 5 big. 5's not even 5's not even the largest space, but it has the most in it. So yeah, I think that would be a call out box. I think a call out box here would have been. I'll just put that there. If I can type right, call out box. I do this because in case I ever run them, I have the notes for myself. If anyone's wondering why I make comments, I will go through and highlight them and do stuff. So, obsidian dagger. Oh, well, sorry. Let me finish this. Accounts of increasing Vampirian attacks. So this is explaining what's going on, perhaps to defend the temple. Brief accounting. Several excursions down the well of the sun. A great discovery. Something valuable. Cool. Obsidian dagger hidden under the. I love that you use detritus instead of debris. Of the lab's deconstruction. A little alliteration there. This magical dagger is always hot to the touch, +1 bonus, and roll damage with advantage. I would have looked at. I don't think this is how magical items are written in Shadowdark. I would have to. This is something I would cross-check myself. I really try to follow the formatting of magical items with the benefit and the curse for stuff. I think I would have just made something similar. +1 bonus and roll damage with advantage. That's a really different concept, though. There's something with. Usually it's add a weapon die, right? Add a die of weapon damage. Something like that. Isn't that how it's normally written in Shadowdark? It's not called advantage on damage. Cool concept, though. I never really thought about that. If you roll a 2d4, you get a chance to get a 4. You know, that's not bad. Better average.
Yeah.
Cool concept. I maybe would have phrased it a little bit. I also believe in cutting advantage down to ADV and bolding it. Personal preference. I don't want to write out advantage every time. Fuck that. Again, still love the font. Ooh, this is new. That wasn't done anywhere else, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay. 4 ooze zombies wander the darkness below. They're drawn by light and noise. I kind of like this little call out. Like, it lets your GM know, hey, be prepared for combat. Get these stat blocks ready. I like that. Ooze zombies. All right.
Okay, so we were just talking about a call out box on the previous room. Do it this way.
Yeah, I like this. I like that a lot, actually. I think that was smart, man.
Because but it's also just a designed theme, right? You're keeping it familiar between passages. So when you have the call out box on 5 that looks just like this because it's centered, it's bold, it's italic, and then you come down here, it screams to the GM, hey, read this as well. It's important.
Right. Yeah, training. Kiwi, I agree with you. I think that magic weapons deal double damage in specific type of creatures. There is a single thing that does a D4 extra fire damage to all creatures 5 rounds. Yep, there is that. Some magical weapons. I'll be honest, that advantage would be super cool on a D12 weapon. Because we all love rolling the bastard D20. But if you had a better chance, because a lot of people don't use D12, they use 2D6 to make better averages. But that could be a really cool way to still let that barbarian swing that axe, or that person using a D12 weapon, swing it and go, fuck yes, let's go. Mm-hmm. I like that, man. I'm stealing this. I don't care. It's mine now. I'm just kidding. That's actually really, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I like that advantage on damage. I've seen it in other systems. I just haven't thought about it with a D12 until now. D10s too. Makes them feel good. And they're rolling more, they're chucking more dice, man. D12 was my favorite die. So let's see what else we have here. Another well. I see that you have a lot of wells. High graceful vaulted arches, receding. Yeah, I see you're doing like the look for the start of all these things. I get it. I think you just chop that look out, and then you could just italicize that piece if you want to break up the word salad, as we're saying. There's a lot of things you can do to break formatting up, but I do like having the description a little bit here for the map. Oh, look it! There's a grid on this one.
It's almost like they're made by 2 different softwares.
Is one a Dyson logo map and the other one's made by software?
I think so.
Did he credit them somewhere? Maybe he credited them. I missed it. I've just been crediting on the art. That's how I'm doing it from now on. I'm just putting the information like right here on any art piece. Because I like when I flip through monster manuals to know what artist it is and shit like that, especially when there's new ones.
Yeah, I don't see.
Well, it has come to this. Thanks, Kiwi. Thanks. So we got another well. 20-foot stone cap covers the well. Oh, so it's covered. This covers the well and the floor directly underneath the opening in the ceiling. The well cap is richly carved, so they're keeping something in. More of a snake. Don't open that bitch. 4 hallways, 20-foot wide each. I'm trying to skip a lot of these because people can read those on their own. I'm reading them in my head as I'm going through just because I want to make sure they match the formatting of the map. That's the other problem. I will tell you that if someone writes an adventure first and then a map is made, there will always be mistakes on the map. Because a writer will go back and change something, and you can't change the map. I think maps should be drawn first, and then you should write your adventure. You will have less mistakes.
Yeah, and that's something I've been doing in the thread on the Discord, is I did all of the original brainstorming, then stopped to go work on the map. Now that I'm finished with the map, I can actually start keying and giving all that information.
Brainstorm first, go to your map, draw your map, go back, write everything else. It's so much easier because you're writing based around a visual image. Like, I know someone in here is going to get mad immediately about this, but I will ban you just because I don't want to tolerate it. Using AI art to give to an artist for them to do something in their style is such a good way for someone who doesn't know how to verbally say what they want. It's like it's a medium, a language that you can talk to an artist and say, no, I want something similar to this. Can you give me something similar to this? I think that's a really cool thing. It's what maps do when you're writing your adventure. If you have the map in front of you, if you're using one that's a public domain, or you use a software to build it, or you draw it yourself, it's so much easier to go back and write the stuff. It's just cool. I work backwards in even my tabletop when I run a session. I will go hunt for maps to inspire me or art to inspire me, and then write my fucking adventure. It's faster. It's actually faster. So anyway, that's the one thing I wanted to point out. I do love that you have a grid on here. Maybe a little fainter grid if you have the choice for that. I don't know if this is software or not. Badly crushed body lies near the edge of the well cap. Excuse me. This is in 1. So here. Okay. Oh, so it's near 10. Is 10 the well cap? Am I reading that right?
10 is the well of darkness, so yeah, it would be the well cap as well.
There's some things when doing rooms like this that doing a 1A makes sense. This might have been one of those times. Or to make that 2. You know what I mean? So that they're next to each other. Because now someone's going to read, this is just nitpicking at this point, but reading the corpse badly crushed lies near the edge of the well cap. You've described the well cap, but the well cap doesn't sound like it happens to here, right? Am I reading that right?
Yep.
So that's just some flow state. You're breaking the GM's flow state. They got to flip pages. Anytime you can cut that away, do it. And a simple renumbering might have done that by doing 1 and 1A and putting the well cap up here. And just saying well cap and then having a bigger description later on. Or labeling the map. It's putting a corpse. Just fucking drawing of a corpse right there.
So in this, I guess I'm missing. It says a secret door in the rear of the altar under 3 Altar of Sun leads down to area 2.
Here? It's right here.
Yeah.
I drew over it.
No, that's fine. That should be Zaria 1. Because that's where people are entering into the second floor.
Oh, yeah, they are coming. You're correct, yeah. So if that is 1, this would be 2.
Correct. They need to be swapped.
Yeah, that's an easy fix. Super easy on the map. You always want the first number to be where you're coming in if you can do it. It just makes it easier. I like start here's on my map, to be honest, or enters. I love those on maps. I think it's just easy for a GM to see it. So the corpse, naked body, strange and finished. This is one of those things where I would bring some Zach Sabbath into this and have rolling the body as a table. I think that'd be dope for this. Like, I love some corpse tables. Mork Borg, man. You know what I'm saying? The floor around is covered in dried blood, black ichor. This might actually have been a good spot to maybe even have the dagger too. Less likely to be missed. People search bodies, I think, more than they search rooms half the fucking time.
Yes.
Oh, or say, I also believe if there's an item you really need to give out and they missed it in a room and it's really not important to be in a room, I would just mark that item, give out once, and I would put the different areas that can find it. That's another really key way to make sure that your item that you want to give out gets out. There's nothing's worse than making an item that you want your players to have, but they don't search that room. And now you're like forcing perception checks over and over, or forcing to search it over and over again. Those are really fun things I've been doing when I'm handing out items that are important or information. We'll talk about mysteries a different day. Clues don't have to be in one spot. You want them to solve it. You're not trying to get away with murder. You're trying to have them solve murder. So you always want to give out your information.
Yeah.
Sleeping snakes. Snake swarm. Yeah, again, same thing we've talked about. Vines above the well cap. Oh, there's vines there. Yeah, this is a lot of stuff involving this well cap. Like over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Like well cap there.
Yeah.
I think that, that well cap's important. I almost feel like it needs to be on this page. I'm assuming it's a boss battle there, and that's why you don't have it there. But
it almost feels like it should be number 3.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm getting at. Altar of the Noon, that's 2. So you come through here, if we're reading this right. Yeah, but you could also do... you could cut out the well and bring it off to the side and label it as 10 for boss battle and put boss or something like that. There's some things you can do. But I definitely would have named this 3 because you've talked about this more on this page than really what's in 1. I mean, everything happens above this because this whole room is 1. That's the problem we ran into. Little numbering, but again, easy fixes, man. You haven't had anything really bad yet. I just want some weird style out of you. I want some golden snakes and shit.
Yeah,
Altar of
Newton? He's saying it's the boss battle. The boss battle can be staged in 3. And then you put the boss information at the end, or you could put it in its own call-out box right next to it where, hey, GM, keep this in mind. Don't unleash it yet.
Yeah, like boom, here, and then write a note.
Yeah. You don't have to...
I do get what you're saying, though. You're like, I didn't want them to think the boss is happening right now. I do get what you're saying, and that's why you numbered it as 10. Like, listen, this is the last thing. But then you could also label this well cap as something else you could have done. If it is something that is being done, you could always put the name well cap. You could do a call out box that says well cap, boss, final thing. But then people know. I wouldn't have known that was the well cap unless I reread this a couple times. It just, and there's somebody else here and you're here. So that's something that a GM at home isn't going to have. They're not going to have an audience or someone helping. Altar of the Noon. So we got the 2 altars now. So now we're in the Altar of the Noon. We up above you had the 2 faces of the Noon and the other one, right? Am I correct in saying
Dawn
that?
and Dusk.
Dawn and Dusk. Okay, so now we're getting into Noon in the other one down here. Matches the altar and the surface. So you repeat it here. You talk about that. Carving, recess in front of the altar, holds a bas relief carving of a sola. Does this do anything? Like, is there something here? I don't know. I feel like when you have these kind of descriptions, when the players are looking at them, it's cool, but I want to reward them for looking at it. Either information or an item or a clue to the puzzle or something along those lines. All of them are above. I thought so. Thank you, Adam. Do you agree? Like, I feel like we've seen a lot of description, but the players aren't getting anything out of it.
I think it should... When I put in descriptors, my goal is that it has an impact somewhere later down the line.
Okay, so maybe there is something later and we're just not there yet.
Maybe.
Secrets. I love secrets. And this is 2, secret behind the door. So do we not come up here? Altar conceals the stair leading up to area 3 above the temple. So yeah, it is a way in. Isn't that the way we come in?
That's the way you come in.
It is to come in. Okay, just double checking it. I'm just putting things together. It looks like a stone slab descending from above. The difficulty, I'm assuming, here would be the same as above, so you didn't repeat it. I mean, it's not necessary. They're already down here. It's open. No reason to repeat it. You could. And then we're in the Altar of Dusk. West hallway, 2 doors, 3, okay, 2 rooms. We got a 5 and a 6 here. Hallway, 2 doors lead off passage. Altar at the end of the hallway is Altar of Dusk. Behind the altar in the recess of the wall, a carving of a soul of dusk, okay. Secret, looks like the stone slab can descend from above. So now you're getting into like the puzzle. When you have puzzles, I feel like I want you to give me the solution in a single box so the GM can reference it as the players are trying to solve it. Puzzles are weird, man.
I'm gonna be the opposite. I want you to tell me that it is a puzzle up front.
Yeah.
And then tell me if there is one solution, tell me what that solution is. If there is multiple solutions, just say, let them do whatever.
Yeah, agreed. That's kind of what I mean by that. Like, you talked about a puzzle in the beginning of this whole thing, but I want, like, at the beginning of wherever I start finding puzzle pieces, right? I want, like, a margin box or a call-out box that says puzzle, solution. Solution is X, Y, Z in this order. Here's your clues. Or, no matter how they use it, as long as they find the things behind the altar, they can solve the puzzle. Like, touching it makes it drop or something like that. Just because puzzles are a make or a break in an adventure. If they stall out the game and you fucking hate it as the players, then that puzzle doesn't do its job. If it is fun, then that's different. Like, maybe if they solve them above and they drop them down, you see squash snakes and shit like that. Like they know by doing that, they bypass the combat, something along those lines, for being smart and solving it before they come down here, or so on. Something like that. Just because puzzles are weird, man. I think they're the hardest thing to do successfully. I can't think of a single time I've ran an adventure for pre-published where the puzzle was what made the game. It's very rare. Unless it's interactive. If it's a fun interactive puzzle, sometimes those do. But even then, people... I know this sounds horrible, but I don't care. Puzzles make people feel dumb when they can't solve it. It's like trivia. You go to trivia because you're good at it. You don't go to trivia if you're bad at it. Very similar feeling. Very similar emotional context. So reward them for solving it, however.
If you want a good example of puzzles done well, Aberrant Reflections, I believe is the name of the adventure. That adventure, the whole thing is a puzzle dungeon. It's really just one puzzle for the entire dungeon, but it is so well executed, and they tell you up front, there is no one solution. Let them do lots of things, let lots of things work.
It's Mousetrap. Just make it work.
Yeah.
Mousetrap never. Empty room, small stone holds a shard of rotten wood, shards of rotten wood. There's a door to the south. Okay, you're just describing the areas they're walking through. Full rotting crates. Singing scimitar. Here we go. Yeah, baby.
If you have an empty room and it doesn't do anything, get rid of it.
Just get rid of it. Every room should do something, or should not have a description.
Just move that scimitar somewhere else.
Yeah. Or make it important. Like, why is the scimitar not like behind one of the secret areas to make people investigate? I would use this as, like, when you enter the room, you could hear soft singing to help them lead to one of these secrets, maybe.
Yeah.
Because you're rewarding them for, carrot before the horse. Like, you're rewarding them for looking into it. I do love any singing weapon, though. I think there's such a fun juxtaposition, because if you pull them out, they're singing, you can't hide with them. Like, your player's dedicating to them. I do love singing dancing swords even more. They're just a cool piece. I love intelligent weapons. There's a lot of good Jimmy the Cricket moments you can do as a GM for those. It lets the GM have a voice when you need a voice at the fucking table. But play it smart. Don't abuse it. Don't abuse it. It's always their NPC, man. This is the dude who's been surviving, is what it sounds like here, right? Locked door made of stout teakwood. Teakwood's tough, man. It's the reason you use it for diving platforms on boats. Strength test DC 15. I would, again, this is that SDC 15 to break. Look how much you would have saved. Look at it. Boom. You're done.
I would use the same target number for both of them.
Yeah, you could even do it for all doors.
I don't know. I don't mind them being different for different doors. I think everything in this area should have the same DC.
Everything should just be a 15. It's a tough room.
Yeah, or everything should be 12.
Again, this is one of those graphic designer things where, like, down the side, you could even have the DCs, and like a little thing comes down. It's like DC 15 or this for this room. Boom, whole room. You've contained it literally in like a UI UX container. Things to think about. This is also us just talking design, not a knock on what you're doing here. I do believe you could have just put strength DC. I don't think you need the test. Everyone knows that's kind of what it is. This is, again, just tightening up verbiage. Smell overpowering, stench of blood. What was that? Go ahead.
And the idea behind it just being one is it makes it less information for the GM to memorize or keep track of by having just one target number. So if you can even set the ACs for the creatures that are in the room at the same thing.
There's some stuff you can do. Or, you know how we've been talking about what to do with this gap here? You could have put DCs right across here for everything. Underneath this, you could have put strength DC 15, Dex DCs are 12 in this room, ACs are 13. You could put it right at the top of the room. Just so the GM remembers, hey, this is what's going on. Kind of like giving them a box to check. I've seen that done in some really short form adventures. And honestly, when I was running those, it was so easy because you could literally read room to room and know what's going on, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too much. I don't know, Ryan. If you're talking about us. Empty rooms just serve to make the map look more difficult for parties. True, it's an old mechanic. That's true. Oh
yes,
no, yeah. They can do it, but it's something you can do. I think the DCs at the top would be a great way to do it. Again, just talking design. Madman, gaunt, filthy, completely mad, crouches in the corner with a maniac grin. If he has a mechanic grin, we're in a different game. Grin on his face. Dribbler, is he drooling? He's got a little spit. Is he hungry? Eminent alchemist and explorer. Okay. So you've given him 2 names. He's the Madman and he's his person. I would have moved his name to here, like right next to Madman, so you can quickly identify who he is. Anytime I am renaming a person, I like their name next to it. That's my personal opinion. Pile of corpse bits. Another chance for a dope ass search table. All right.
Yep.
Water, a small pool of fresh water is fed by a steady trickle from the ceiling. Chance to put torches out. That's what I see there. A glint of gold, partially hidden under the pile of rotting corpse parts, is a gold mask. Gold mask. Man, I wish if somebody put this on, they turned into a fucking snake.
A naga.
A naga?
Yeah,
not gonna deal with you anymore. That kind of naga.
Maybe, or you know.
Oh, you're a bad guy now. Did you bring your spare character? If your party pries it off of you, you go back. That could be a really cool scenario. And you're doing like a mental check with the mask every round, trying to pry it off, or give into it. Who cares? Or a chance to have a new ancestry. I know you aren't a big fan of ancestries. I think this is a perfect example of when to have an ancestry.
I like simplifying the world a little bit more.
Well, but this gives character to a world. If Nagas are going to be a big part and snakes are part of it, why not add an ancestry to your world?
See, to me, that makes sense, and I would do it.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
So.
I don't know who did it. I can't remember, but I do love in the beginning of them where people tell you how to handle torches and crawls. If there's modifiers to torches at the very beginning of a room or the beginning of a dungeon. So like when you're down below, you can have modifiers to all your torch rooms. I love stuff like that.
We were talking about it because I did it in the last adventure I wrote before Gristle and Vine.
Yeah, yours and somebody else I reviewed, they had the lanterns and all theirs. They did a really good job of describing how lighting would work in that swamped out, like flooded area. You could have done some cool stuff with that because you've already put it here. You've given it. It's there. You already had the thought. I'm assuming that's why it's there. If not, take it. It is now. Every turn spent interrogating Heinrich will reveal one of the following. One of the golden mask powered his experiments. The aspects of darkness corrupted his work. His clones went berserk and chased him down here. Okay, so you're giving a little bit of like the rumory feel stuff again, but it's in context to this room, so I'm fine with this being here. I maybe would have bullet pointed it though. I maybe would have won 1, 2, 3, given those things out in that order, just because it breaks again apart the word salad on this page. Bullet points help that. You don't want to beat them up, but shooting a few bullets once in a while gets the point across. Across the bow, not at the person.
Actually, you know what? Now that you mentioned the lanterns and having it do different things, I'm thinking the altars should have an effect on lanterns and torches.
Yeah, that could be really cool because it's sun and dawn.
Dawn, noon, dusk.
Yeah, man.
Dusk turns them off and keeps them off.
Or maybe you could maybe you could use some of those to relight things too. Like maybe it lights a torch and they only go out. Maybe you get advantage on the roll to make a torch go out once it's been put in there, but it still only lasts an hour. That's kind of cool. Like you get to roll 2d6 and you pick the better of the two so it doesn't go out. There's some fun stuff in there that you could do.
In Affinity, it's a button.
It's a button. Yeah. Yep. It's a button.
It will let you bullet it.
Or there are on almost any text-based program. If you look it up, there is Windows keys you can do. In this case, window button and alt or alt and something where you can type some buttons and it'll put it. Also, if you look up copy and paste bullets, you can find a plethora of bullets that you can copy and paste into any full text family, font family. Things that are really weird, they may not have them, but a lot of them have like your arrows, your bullets, and stars. You just need to know what the glyphs are, which we're going to get into here in a bit. I want to get through this because we have a lot to cover in short time frame. These always take long. Spear trap. I love traps. Thank you for putting one. They're not used often enough. Dex test, again, we already talked about this. I get rid of the test. Statues of 2 of the Verdant Warrior or Viperian warriors flanking the altar. Volcano axe. Okay, here's that chance for that advantage D12, right? Counts as fire damage. Cool. I'm assuming does fire hurt something in here? I'm assuming maybe one of your monsters at the end. Secret, placing the 3 golden masks. Oh, this would have been perfect if someone turned into a Naga. They have to get it from them.
See? And, you go up to the altar, and that's the only way you get light at dusk, is you're wearing the mask. Now you have incentive and punishment mixed into it, so there's a choice.
Yeah. I love dilemmas. I have shirts that say Frankhouse Dilemma. So I love a good dilemma. That could have been a really kind of fun piece. That also has a little weirdness to it. One of the masks too could have been something cool, like if you're wearing it, it covers your skin in gold armor for 1 hour. The golden sun, you're wearing like the armor. There's some really fun things you could have done with the masks. Because there's such a key part of this. I think you could have done some cool shit with them. You got the one mask here, serpent face carved, right? Like right here, boom, there's a chance. Right there. We had a chance to do it. 6,000 gold. These motherfuckers are gonna be rich.
Yeah.
Level 5 to 7, I guess. Darkness wakes, touching the black mask will wake the shadow serpent. Also, all torches go out. Boom. 100%. Boosh. That classic mummy, where the wind blows through and all the torches go out. All you see is the glowing eyes. Like, that's that moment. That's that moment you could have done. And again, if we cut some of the other verbiage out, you would have made space for the things, excuse me, that we're talking about. Vault offerings, a long room and tables. That's next area.
And this is just a design GM point. If you're gonna have touching the black mask triggers the encounter, I want the encounter information before the item information.
Yeah,
because I need to know the encounter triggers first.
I agree with you 100%. 100% on that one. You want to know when shit's going to trigger. I just realized that we don't want the soundtrack because that's my soundtrack for my other shows. We're going to go to this one. 2 ooze zombies lie dormant on the floor in the back of the room. Light or noise will wake them. Oh my God. So just imagine. So hold on. What is this in? This is room 7. So room 7. Where's room 8? Fuck, it's all the way over here. Right here, whatever this is, or when you go into this room, I want something that puts your light out so you don't see the zombies right away. And then when you walk into that room and you light it, that's what animates these corpses. It's just a cool moment you get to have when light makes a monster awaken or do something. You got noise, but I don't know, man. This game's about light. Nothing could be cooler than when the torch goes out, they animate, and when the light's on, they see these things kind of coming up and out, and you see like the glint off the ooze bodies. I'm a very cinematic visual person when I'm running games.
I think that's a perfect.
But there's some cool shit you could do with this. Because this is just evocative in general. Ooze zombies? Fuck yes, let's go. I don't even know if I'd use the word zombie. Unless you're doing that to identify monster type. Potion chest. I hope this better have a snake in a bottle, damn it. And it better have 2 of those concoctions that when you drink them, they explode.
One of them has to be not a potion of healing, a poison of healing.
Poison of healing, yeah. Something to, yeah, agree. Something like that. Could have been fun. Jagged crystal wand under the table. Wand of lightning bolt. Woo! I mean, we are 5 to 7th level. We got to remember that. 4 charges remaining. I like when you have to roll for your charges. D4 plus 1. Give him a chance to get a 5. Give him a chance to be fucked. It's just fun. That's a nice little, like, all right, especially when they go to pull it and they go to use it. And you're like, all right, can you roll for how many charges there was with that D4? Because there's definitely 1. But if they don't know until they use that wand, like, because they're not going to take time to identify this thing in there. Because we're in round-around combat, right? It's part of Shadowdark. Yeah. But if they take and go boom and cast it, and you're like, can you roll a D4? You're like, 1, like, and it shatters. Like, oh, shit. Like, it just adds a moment. I do love wands for that kind of stuff.
Okay, so this is just a note. I believe where you're at now. No, let's go back up to the top.
Here?
Yeah, I believe this is section or area 9. Even though it's not labeled.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because it says.
Look at that. You missed the label.
Pit. Yep.
So you're just missing the header up there. Looks like ditch this, delete it, slap it up here. You're good to go. Yep. Carved walls or scenes. Again, hey, you didn't put look there either. Pit, 20 foot across, 20 foot deep. This is a death trap. Okay, right here. Where you have bottom is piled deep with snake bones of every size manageable. I would just make a snake trap here that just does damage. No monster, no combat, no fight. You're just getting bit every fucking round until you get out. Only solution is an AoE spell, right? Or you get out. You're just getting chewed up. And every round you do, it's just a flat damage number. Don't even roll. Just like you're taking 3 points a round being in here. You're getting bit, and it's a save. And every time you're in here, the save gets 1 harder. Because the more you get bit, the harder it is to get rid of poison. Also, I don't know if you guys know this in Shadowdark, when you die from poison, you don't get to do that constitution thing for how many rounds you have. A lot of poisons are 1 round and you're dead.
I would also put this right under number 2 on the first floor.
Yep.
And then I understand the stairs are in a completely different place, but that's easily hand waved with, oh, there was a passage that they had to walk along.
Yep.
Whereas you can have they go down the well.
Yeah, let's go back up.
Boom, goes right into a pit. And it's like, oh.
Yep. Also, you want to get real salty and you want some of that weird snake stuff, you can have some of the malformed snakes that are merged together and they're melted metal, so they also do burning damage as well. Just think of a liquid gold pit, Terminator style, but it's gold with snakes coming out of it and biting you.
Here you go. Number 5, the laboratory. The ruined laboratory is right next to 2.
Yep.
Every time they fuck up a snake, they grab it, they go and toss it down the well, it ends up in the pit, that's your trap.
Yep. It just keeps getting, that way, yeah.
And it's just all your malformed, all your two-headed snakes.
Yeah, two-headed, golden scaled, and like actual gold scales. Like, you really get some bizarreness in here that, not even bizarre, just memorable.
This is tone. We're talking
tone.
Purely tone here.
Dripping tone. Yeah. 3 bodies lie in gloom. I love the word gloom, by the way. Thank you for using something different than darkness. Yes. Pin on the floor. You see it because it's not it's just a description. It's not a terminology piece, not game terms. You see the glint of gold amidst the debris, as Jamie would say. Shout out to Jamie. 2 of the corpses are of expedition members. Their belongings strewn about. 300 gold. 300 GP in gold. You don't need to repeat it. You just told them it's gold. And gem spills from a rotten leather sack. Again, snake, bitch. There better be a snake in there. I want them to be scared of every container.
No. I'm even going to disagree. That's not a leather sack. That is a snakeskin sack.
Or the sack is inside of snakeskin. Like they shed on it. Like they ate it, shit it out, bag, covered in nastiness. Because then you're just, I don't know, you're tying it together. Make them dig through a snake corpse for it. Make the snake dead and it choked eating this sack.
Yeah.
And you have to cut it open. Maybe the snake's not dead. Maybe it was just sleeping. You want an angry snake. Fuck with one that's shedding its skin. One of the corpses... Yeah, give it advantage again on the first attack roll. Something fun. One of the corpses is a new zombie. Again, you got those there. I love them. They're cool. Well of Darkness. Boss battle. I honestly would put boss battle or indicate something fun like that. Just because I like when that room, that's it. I know it's the last one, but just a little design piece. I enjoy those. Different color, whatever. When the 3 golden masks are placed on the correct carvings, areas 2, 3, and 4 stone slabs will slide down, sealing the mask. Right here is that beginning of the puzzle piece. Sealing the mask in the recesses. At the same time, the slab concealing the black mask area 7 will slide up, touching the black mask. Starts a countdown at the following intervals. So here's your intervals for it. Immediate, The creature, I'm assuming Deshala, wakes at the bottom of the well of darkness with a roar that the snakes the floor, shakes the floor. Too many S's here. Shakes the floor. One round, there's a deafening crash as something huge slams into the underside of the stone wall cap in the area. Each round thereafter, Deshala has a 1 in 6 chance of fuck that. Just make it come out. I don't even... Unless you're wanting the shaking temple and escaping. If that's something you're doing, that's cool. You need to say when it escapes, no matter where they are in the temple, that light isn't... like daylight isn't touching, it can get there, or something along those lines. There needs to be a reason for this countdown. Because I'm not quite sure... What does this bring? If you're trying to bring terror, something needs to happen. Like, as soon as the wall starts shaking, everyone has to dodge a snake swarm they're trying to get away from the area. Something like that. Like, there needs to be a risk through these rounds other than getting out. Because you're locking them in. They can't even get out. Right? Am I right in saying that? They're locked in?
Well, they've got all the snakes coming down as they're pushing forward. This is that rock and a hard place that we were first talking about way back in the beginning.
They want a round or two of them getting to run. Yeah, but you have to do all of them for this to activate. 2, 3, and 4, all of them will have to. So you want to have a couple rounds. Okay. I would just say 2 rounds. There's deafening crashes and walls shaking. And snake encounters are 3 and 6 now. Something along those lines. I would just say it's 2 rounds. I don't think you need the full countdown. Each round thereafter, 1 in 6 chance to break through. Like, fuck that, man. It's your boss. I think as soon as they enter the room, it should explode out. Period. Because you have to cross it, right? To get out. There's no other way. This is the only exit. Right here.
Yeah, the well up is open. And if you move it to say...
They had a rope or anything there.
Yeah, and if you move it to, say, 9 is where the well is and they're falling into that pit, they have to climb up to that as well.
That's true.
So you give them the 2 rounds. I get that.
Okay.
But I think it needs to be just... I agree. Just...
I ditched this.
Go for it. 1 in 6 is too low.
I don't even think you need that, though. I think you just do the 2 rounds, and then on round 3, it's out.
Yeah, because you can move near...
Right, so like if we count, because you got a grid on this one. Yeah. Even if you were here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 is this. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 gets them here. And the third round, it explodes. If they go before the monster, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 gets them the door. Now it's racing down the hall after them. And if you do it from this side, because isn't 7 another one of the altars?
Yeah.
So even here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Now they're in the room, and they're going to have to run by it. So, like, this way is combat. This to get out. If they're here, like, the last one is what? Is this room another one? Is this the other one? I'm trying to mark all the altar spots.
7, 4, what was it? 3, let me scroll back down. 2. Which is the stairs.
2, 3, and 4, it says. Stone slabs will slide down, sealing them. That's in the room above. You need a key. I agree. I think something marking the altars would be good, too. Yeah, I think 2 rounds is a good number. I do agree with that. I would just ditch the second part. If you want to get spicy, instead, if you want this to be something, every round you roll for torches to go out for it being awoke. And then maybe it's a 1 in 6. Next round is 2 in 6. Next round is 3 in 6. Caps at 3 in 6. Every round, torches can go out. That makes this boss dangerous because in the dark, it has advantage. Well, or you have disadvantage, technically.
With it being like an avatar of darkness,
right.
It needs... I would have it do that.
Now, we haven't looked at the stat block. We may see that in the monsters we go through. But I do like that. Drawn to a black mask. Only sunlight will halt it. That means halfway up the stairs in the well of sun. Okay. So you got your Valkyrian.
Here you go. Here's how you do this. And tie it back in. Okay. She breaks through immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And she has to go down to 7 to get the mask to put on before she'll engage. That's your timer.
Oh, so it almost makes her, it takes her from being incorporeal shadow creature to something with material.
That can actually attack them. That gives you your time. That gives you your time to get out. It ties in your masks. It feeds back into itself.
Mm-hmm. And then on its move, you just give it far.
Yeah.
You just say fucking it's far movement. Don't even give it near. Give this creature of darkness far. So that means if it can see the wall at the other end, it's gone. Right? So you got some
far in darkness.
Yeah, far in darkness. Yeah, give it a tag.
Yeah.
100%. Snake-headed people, cobra hoods, right here. Chance to give them fucking some metal scales or something like that. Maybe here. This one. Instead of matted white, I would have said that they have the metal scales from the transmutation, maybe. Like all the experiments, things going on. Make them special. There's really nothing with them. You could have used any stat block for these, so you made your own. Anytime I have to make a stat block, I'm giving them an ability.
Yeah.
I'm giving them, like you did it here. I'm giving them an ability. You have enough space here. You have so much space to play in here that you could have done that. He did do his best to make these easier to read by pushing them down. Bravo. This is something that we've talked about a lot. We don't like when they're squished together, but I do think this level in alignment, you could have fit it here to the side, or honestly, on the left and right of your Viperian Scout, you could have put the alignment in the level. You have the space, right? And that would have freed up a line, and then you could have put a special ability for these guys if you were worried about space. Plus, when they're reading across, you can go, oh, it's neutral, and they're level 4 if you need that. I really think for bestiaries, that matters more. AC and hit points could have went up here. There's a lot of things you could have moved around to make it fit up there. But I would have gave these guys a special ability. I think it's important. Like, dude, the Viperian Warriors with metal scales ignore one hit. The metal scales chip off of them. They ignore a hit. I do 12 points of damage. I ignore that. Oh, shit. Like, that immediately makes these guys scary.
Reduces AC by 1 every time they ignore a hit. Boom.
Yeah, something like that. There's some really fun things you could do, and the scales knock off on, a 1 through 5. They still have their scales, man. Their armor's still 17. Whatever you wanted to do for that.
And if it's gold, their scales are worth money for them to take out.
Yep, you got it. And it made fighting them worth their time, which is rare in this game. Yes. If reduces 0 hit points by any source, DC 15 to go to 1 hit point instead. This is a fun little piece. Kind of the get back up mechanic. I like that. That's pretty good. You got your little key here. So let's look at this before we close it out. You got a good description for them here. I love that you, give it a little more. It's a boss monster. Do they deserve half a page, right? 40 hit points, 14 AC. It's shadowy. There's some things I maybe would have thought about doing with shadows. Tentacles? It's a shadow snake with tentacles? Damn. Level 7. Question for balance, 5 to 7. I don't think that's enough damage. Do you? Level 7?
I think it shouldn't. I think 1d8's fine because you get 3 attacks. So you're doing 3d8. But I would increase the plus to hit from +6. I like it just matching the level.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to do it. That's just a personal design. You got a weird space here too, just as a heads up. I don't know if that's supposed to be there. It looks weird. Maybe it is. Might just be the AL to the C's. Chill. Ooh, man, people doing this con damage and strength damage to people in all these adventures I've read. Lost stats are restored with a night's rest. Thank you for that's cool. So he put this here. You could also put the page number, but I'm fine with that being there. Falls unconscious to hibernation. I think when they die, they turn into a shadow.
They then become an ooze zombie.
They're not. It doesn't create ooze though. I think they become a shadow, a snake shadow, and you say, "Please use the shadow from page X."
The only reason they become the black Ichor.
Oh,
and therefore they're a zoo zombie.
Then maybe there needs to be a black Ichor descriptor in here somewhere.
Yeah,
shadow like Ichor. I do agree. That'd be kind of cool. They become the zombie. That's a really easy solution.
You could rename Implacable to Black Ichor as well, and then boom, you've tied it together. You didn't have to explain it. It just
you just word association. Immortal, nice. 0 hit points, does not die but fades like a shadow. Look, man, I would say 0 hit points. Unless they're in sunlight, they get back like 10 hit points. 0 next round, 10 hit points. If you are not in sun, period. But I would beef this one up. I don't think this is bossy enough to me. Like, it's a chase, but the space isn't that big. The 3 tentacles are good, but you're going to split your attacks. Maybe an attack, maybe I would have cut this description down a little bit. And maybe I would have gave a powerful attack, like a shadow swallow or something along those lines, or like a throw where like it could take it from the head and toss it 50 foot behind them to divide the party. I think that's kind of cool. Something to snuff out light would have been cool here. Just one more pass on this. I feel like it needs some damage. I do love that it's a mass of snakes, so that's why you're getting the multiple hits. I don't know if I'd have said tentacles. You know what I mean?
It needs to summon. It needs to summon all the other snakes.
No, I think if you're inside its body, because it moves, it's a snake swarm.
That works. Something like that. But you want to pull in the other snakes. You
could have done a really cool thing where it's a 40-foot long line, and you could have just drawn that, like playing Snake the game, Snake.
Oh, you know what? Yeah.
And then you could have just drawn it over your players every time. Be like, boop, boop, boop. You know what works good for that, too? If you have the clear dice boxes, those work really well for that because you can just set it over people's minis a lot of times.
They're trying to run. It's bouncing through the shadows to catch up with them.
Yeah.
That creates the line. They pass over it. They get stuck into the swarm. Boom. You now have problems with not being able to see.
Torch goes out. Have to find your way out of the shadow. It's like confined shadow spaces. That's kind of fun, man. Makes a mini game within a boss, which is what everybody wants.
Which then at that point, it being a little weaker
would be okay.
It is okay because you're having to solve a problem mechanically along with the fight.
And if the snakes inside are attacking it, you're at disadvantage. They're hitting with it. You're getting fucked up. You're going to get hit every time then. Then this 6 becomes okay. Then if you needed more space for this, ditch the spaces here. Ditch this guy. I mean, obviously you did it to even out the columns, but you have that area you can crush that shit down. And then you could give it a little more and chop that chill description down. But overall, like, I see high potential for this. You just need another pass. You need a fucking cover. You need a back cover. And on that back cover, I put rumors and stuff, I think. I put your rumors, your hooks on the inside of the front cover, inside of the back cover. Boom.
Yep.
But this is solid. I am going to save this. For me, vibes is only... God, man, I want to give it a 3, but I want some, like, really spicy remodel of the snakes. And then I think I could give it a 3. Right now, I would give vibes a 2. Everything else is a 3. It's clean. It's pretty easy to understand, besides missing that 9. You missed that. I think that's something that you would need to do. But I think overall, you got something decent here, man. Let me save this here.
Yeah, I think usability-wise, this thing is...
It's clean.
Tops.
It's clean.
Super clean. You have a good base. It's a strong concept. It was just some of those tying it back together and that really pushing the envelope for weird solves so many problems that really don't seem like it. It's the problem that it's solving is this interesting enough that I want to play it?
Yeah, cover does that. I mean, it's why I put I don't know, if those who didn't look at mine, I put on mine a chart right on the cover of mine that is start here with an hour that you're starting in. So you roll for the players. And one of them is you're a PC or an NPC dying from the meteor crashing, like right out of the gate. Just to bring a moment. And then you go through and be like, oh my God, my players are starting here. Something like that. But man, these snakes are great. I think the idea is cool. I think the transmutation... God, I always think of the Yon T. Like, there's so many things of mutation you can do. But again, this comes from, we were under a time crunch. It's under 8 pages. And I don't think most of us had a chance to actually run this adventures. Like, our own adventures. So, but this is the thing where you do a pass and you make something cool off it. This is why I do consulting hours for people. Like, literally this stuff. helping people formalize and do stuff like that's why I consult. But I'm gonna close this. So we said 4. I know you got to walk your dog around 5. I have until 5 if you want to go. Do you want to grab a drink? Do you want to? Do we? Because I really want to hit this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick because I have down and finished both of the ones I brought with me.
Oh, okay. So I'll go grab a drink. So everybody else, I'm gonna give a layout for what we're doing then while you're doing that. So everybody else, we wanted to do something fun today, and we wanted to be able to talk about foundational design, and we wanted to talk about fonts with you, and in a bite size, because we don't know how it's gonna hit with the Shadowdark community and in my community. I know I have a lot of designers that come in and talk to me. I have a lot of designers on my shows. I have 2 amazing illustrators that are in my Tuesday show, Allie and Todd. I've had other ones on in the past. But Allie in specific is the font queen. Like, the woman works in fonts every day of her life. I've learned a lot working with her, and just from working in graphic design and branding, which is a lot of what I do is identity and branding for companies. And I wanted to be able to bring some of the 101 courses to everybody who wants to make games. First off, everyone who entered a game jam, no matter what we say, good on you for finishing a fucking project. There's a lot of people who say they're going to do a project, that they're going to make something amazing, that I'll do it one day, I'll do it, it'll be great, I'll do it. But they don't. And you guys did, and all of you who did, that's fucking awesome. So no matter what we're saying today, please take it as positive critiques, because we see anyone, and I'm speaking for myself, but I believe that Cry will agree with me. If you finish a project, you are 10 steps ahead of everybody else. Like, legitimately. And then if you're willing to take feedback and learn, you are light years ahead of most people. Most people can't take the red pen. They can't take constructive criticism. There's a lot of good things that we've seen in all of the adventures, and we highlight those. Like, the format on the one we just saw, what they had is great. It needs a couple of swaps, add some flavor, bring your voice to it, because I know, myself included, I was worried about the formatting and the short time frame, but bring your voice into it, and I think you can do some really cool things. So today, we had talked for hours after, I think it was after the second Game Jam reviews I did. We shot the shit about wanting to do reviews. I know they were doing them in the Shadowdark chats with people, and still have been. So I wanted to bring that to the table. And we went through countless adventures and layout and design, and we got real deep into the rabbit hole on our favorites. And then it's true. And then you're like, you know what? We really need to keep it simple, stupid kind of thing. So we did. So here's what we came up with. I had never seen this before. And this is foundational design at some of its finest. I'm not going to say it's the best ever, because the best is, only to the person. I just want to say out of the gate, this gives me hard Dragon Lair vibes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hard Dragon Lair vibes. I've never seen this before. So this is definitely more on you. It is an OSE, Old School Essentials. Nightmare Over Ragged Hollow. So you picked this. I agree, before we scroll through, what made you pick this as like foundational design, nuts to butts, cover to cover? We're not going to go through all 82 pages because fucking no.
Okay, so one, for anybody who doesn't know who the Merry Mushmen are, they are the ones who put out the Knock magazine. And Knock is
NOX,
almost
right?
as... no, K-N-O...
Oh, it is Knock, like knock, knock. Okay.
Yeah. And all it does is gather blog articles from the OSR blogosphere and puts them to crazy layout. We're talking more Borges style layouts. They get funky with it. Yeah.
They do. But this one is not.
But this is not. This is very much cleaner. It does get a little wild in some areas.
Sure.
But
nothing the average Joe couldn't do with a little bit of time.
Yep, and it moves you forward through the things you need to know to run the adventure almost sequentially. the way kind of Kelsey does with her adventures that she writes for 5e, where it's like, this is what you need right now, this is what you need next, this is the part after that. They do a lot of that with their layout design, and there's just really smart alternative ways to even things that we were describing for how to do some of these things.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. In chat, they're like, someone said knock is cool as fuck. I agree. I think it's great. If you haven't seen it, look it up. I always thought it was NOX for some reason. I think I'm thinking of the band. Then they also published Black Sword Hack, which is awesome. That's true. Black Sword Hack is very good. Very, very good. Someone said we need to make a Viperian omnibus for this contest.
Well, you know, by the time I'm done with this adventure I'm doing in the Discord, we may have one.
Let's talk foundational design. First off, amazing cover. It reminds me of the old NES covers.
Super evocative, draws you right in.
Easy, not hard. Just clean illustration. They went with a style for this. Everything is on it. It's got like that movie poster. But what I want to talk about most of all is fucking great use of a font and marrying the font to the font, but like marrying your lines of text. And that obviously someone did some, and when I say AI, by the way, I mean Illustrator. Someone did some really good work in Illustrator. That's all it is. The G's, they kind of swirl down into the L's. I love the look. It's very clean. It's stacked. I don't know. There's just something about it. It gives me the feeling of levels too. It's just really cool. I could have done, this is my only critique, this didn't need to be here.
It's their logo.
I know, but I would. It's interrupting this gorgeous logo.
I get it.
I'd have put that thing here on the back, in the corner, next to old. I mean, because like they achieved weighted symmetry so well between this being centered, right? But this here creates symmetry because of the over is the same distance as the D in font.
You know, you mentioned that, and I just went to, because they released two more recently, and I went to go check them, and on one of them, the logo doesn't really interfere, and on the other one,
I think it's part of the Merry Mushman here. They probably just and drop it, but I would move it. And it's white. It detracts from all the other colors that are on here. I get one in your logo. I'd have put it in the corner. I'd have faded it somewhere. I'd have had it on her book. I'd have put it on her front of her dress like it's a holy symbol. Arcane Library, that shit. But again, great clean cover, right? Yes, it is a really great callback to all those. 100%. I agree with you a lot on that. So where do you want to start in this? I mean, obviously, hey, look, guys, playtester and awards page always do this. Are these the people who died?
Those are the characters that died in the playtest.
I love it.
I think that's fun.
That's like the back of the shirt concert tour. Great.
Yeah.
So this is a 2-page layout traditionally, right?
It is a spread. It's a spread. Oh, what do they call it? Console.
Okay, so the reason I say that is because you can already see that there's more of a margin on this side. That's what made me think that. I am not going to look at this in a display of 2 pages, I don't think. Because if I do 2-page scrolling, we get this, and it gets really hard. Well, you can do it this way.
It breaks the console.
Oh, fuck, it does.
Yeah, because the cover isn't on a separate layer on the end.
Damn it!
It's only on the high-res version that they have it in spread form.
Well, this is the interactive one.
Right, the interactive one is not in its spread.
Listen, Adobe, hold on here. We have to have a flame Adobe moment here. Adobe, get your shit together. I'm so fucking tired of your lazy ass. I'm gonna swear during this entire thing. This is a little bit of a Frankhouse rage. One, you know that people read books in it because it's a PDF viewer. Will you just make the option to shift the cover and back cover so we can look at 2-page spreads appropriately instead of having to save 3 different fucking PDF formats? Just do it. You're lazy and rich. You charge me so much a month. Stop this shit. You have page displays here. Just add a 5th one that says 2-page spread. Like, fucking come on. and make Acrobat run better. Just take a week and polish this shit, please. Fuck, Adobe, I hate you. Yes, there's other options, but it's industry standard, man. You have to work in Adobe. If you work in corporate, you have to work in it. Fix it. No, the option is what I'm paying for. You're rich. Fix it. Orion's arguing with me in chat. I disagree with it. Adobe, fix your shit. I have other options. I understand that. But I can't buck the system when the system is paying me. And to try to retrofit shit, it just, trust me, if you're working at a fucking crazy level, you have to use the goddamn thing. Canva, you bought Affinity. Baby, I love you. Make me a PDF reader. What do you say?
Please.
Make me a PDF reader that I can do edits in it that switches between all 4 programs. Please, Canva. Please, Affinity. Fucking do it. I would love you so much.
After you blur Canva and Publisher together.
Yeah. Marry those two. Get married. Have a PDF reader, baby.
That's right.
So we can't look at the 2-page spread in this. I'm a little sad. I wonder if I can write code to fix this. Anyway.
I think Orion is saying you can do it with Adobe PDF Reader, but...
This is Adobe. Where's it at, buddy? Where's it at? Tell me. I'll do it right now. Because if this is locked, I can't move pages. You know what I mean? And in PDF Reader, when it's an interactive PDF, it will break links because PDF Reader isn't smart enough to know that you added a page and it will break links. I fucking had it happen so many times.
Yeah.
Where did he say it was at? Show hide?
Well, he says I will show you in Discord.
Oh, just walk me through it right now. What does it say? What is that under, Orion? Right. Where does that under? Where's it at? I'll do it right now.
That's not English. We can't understand that. We don't speak that language.
Yeah, sorry, homie. Is it page display? Is it zoom? Is it tools? Is it organized pages? Is it digital fire? I don't have that toolbar down here, Holmes. I don't use the newest version of Acrobat because it crashes constantly when you use it on stream. It doesn't like being screen shared. Like, I can't screen cap the newest version of Adobe Acrobat without it just burning to the ground. I'll look at it as we go. Let me know if you can send me where it's at in Discord. But we're going to start going through here. I'm going to do single page for now until we know otherwise. Look at these hyperlinks for names. They go to people. Isn't that what it is?
Yep.
I allow you to go to it. So if those who don't know, it takes you to this.
Drink.
What's that? Oh yeah, drink. Yeah.
Hyperlink drink.
Yeah. So it brings you to their essays and stuff like that for each one of these people. I love that they did that. Super smart. Thank you. I guess let's just scroll into where we start talking about formatting. I love their bar. I love their little dividers that they've created. But the first thing that's going to come to mind, it's black, white, and orange.
The whole way.
The whole way, baby. The whole way, baby. Black, white, and orange. I love
monochromatic.
Monochromatic. It's great. We're not going to break down too much unless it's important, but they give you a welcome page. Look, they have 82 pages to play with. We can talk about the breakup a little more later on. But here's their art. I'm going to zoom this out one. Really clean art. It kind of acts as a break, and then we get into introduction.
Which we can skip.
Yeah, I think there's 4 things I know I really want to highlight. But if I scroll past any of these, like, first off, this is great. The referees read aloud text looks like this. Hi, switch it to English for me. What is that in, bro? It's so small.
Yeah, but the introduction in general is just kind of background on how to run OSC Adventure. So it's not that important for our purposes. The thing that it does well is that it tells you in the reading this adventure section.
Is that right?
No, those are wrong. They need to flip sides.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't work either.
Well, because I have the spread open
on
my side, so I know which one. That 4 should be on the left.
Show cover page and 2-page spread. Is that better?
That's correct.
All right, there we go. Adobe, I take it back. You've done enough other fucking bad things like Wizards of the Coast. You can still take that heat. Still annoying. So anyway, here's our 2-page spread now. So they do the council format, which this is not an example council, but I do love that they tell you that this is the readable piece here. I think that is fantastic.
Well, even above that, they tell you bulleted and underlined are important, or bolded and underlined are in bullets. That's how you read this.
Agreed. And that's smart. Like, that's kind of what we were talking about in Cameron's, where he called that out. The first thing I will tell you is it's consistent. The columns are the same. I agree with you. I would have done center justified for a lot of this stuff because I feel like you can play in center justified a lot more.
Oh, yeah. Or left justified.
Thank you, Orion.
Yeah.
The background thing, I love these big, I can't remember the proper term. I always call them fairy tale letters, but there's a proper term when you're using the first letter in a totally different font. I don't remember what it's called. There's a terminology for it, but I love it.
It's a cap letter.
Yeah, but so basically it's like using an art piece. I mean, fonts are art, but it lets you we're starting here. The other thing is, I want to zoom in a little bit here. Notice that they are clean. This is a textured edged font. It looks great. It reads well, but it has some some style to it. I do like this font type. I will tell you, some people who have some vision issues will have a hard time with this kind of font, because this kind of font blurs together.
Serif, yeah.
Anything with serif will blur together. How do you describe serif to somebody? Serif is a font type. It's a family. It's a tree, a big family of styles of fonts.
It's the one that has all the little bits and pieces on it.
It's anytime you see a tail is what I tell people.
Yeah, well, because
there's a tail on the T, there's a tail on the Y, there's any accoutrement on the end where a line ends, that's a serif.
Yeah.
That's the best way. And we're going to show you something where you can look this stuff up on your own. But we get the first time that we see something dope. One, the call out boxes. The orange is good. Orange on orange, and it works. There's a pastel.
It takes the image in the background and fades it further back by being orange on orange.
Yeah, because you have this grit texture, this grime down the side, and putting it over it just kind of makes it almost makes like a blank slate.
Yeah. But the thing to note is, if you go back into console format,
correct,
right?
Yeah, sure.
This entire 2-page spread is text, but it's broken up.
We're gonna get this piece here, baby.
It's got visual interest.
Well, I can't use orange.
Because of the call out boxes. You have a table over there. The table has color differentiation to, again, break things up. You've got the cap letter at the beginning of Ragged Hollow to break things up, create visual interest. This is all text. No art skills required.
Right. This is anyone can do this.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing to note that I think a lot of people miss is, if you look at it visually, you can tell
exactly
just based on the font sizes and weights where the important information is.
Yeah. And so as a GM, so I did a big this is a while ago. I did a talk on how I take my notes as a GM. And the thing I learned is this is good for anyone who did heavy research in college, or I think honestly, if you grew up and had to study the Bible growing up, I'm not talking religion, I'm just talking studying. You wrote in the margins and you wrote on an angle. You did it for two reasons, because you needed more space, right? So you tilted it, but to identify what you wrote. And this little tilted box they do here is exactly that, but way more elegant. That little askew, even the font's slightly askew, isn't it?
Yep.
It's just that little drop. I was missing drop cap. Yes, drop cap. Thank you. This little sexy box is everything, and you're gonna see them get a lot of mileage out of it in 82 pages because they're training you out of the gate.
Yeah,
it's smart. I do have a question for you on tables. This is something I talk about with people. Do you like when every other row is a different color?
It depends.
Right? When does it depend for you? What is your rule? What's your design rule?
If you are going to, one, I think your every other color needs to be very faint. I don't like when it's like you go line
black,
one,
white, black, white.
Black, white, yes, exactly. That is visual noise, clutters it up. You want them to be very similar, but distinct. And the other design cue for me is, did you have the ability to space it or not? Because if you have the ability to space it, and then you chose to not do so and color the bars, I don't like it as much as you could create the space to separate. Because I think you need that visual break from negative space, which is the white gaps in the page, right?
Yep. It's the area that is there and does work, but you don't. It's the unsung hero.
Yeah, because it gives your eye a break. And also makes it easier for you to anchor or signpost to various parts of the page. And so
the thing I tell people to do when you're designing your stuff is you go into a 2-page, a council or 2-page spread format and check and see if your tables get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
If they do, this is a very easy solution. I do agree. Don't do the black with white writing and white black writing. It doesn't work that well. Notice that they're letting the background still kind of blur through, but they blurred their background. Anywhere within the body areas, their background is blurred. It becomes just a tone, like a flowing tone. But I think that this gray actually could have been a little lighter. I think it's too dark, personally. But that's me. I'm glad they didn't go with orange because they're training people with orange in a different way. But I love that, and I love this. I love that they are making their bullets a different color. So it doesn't get lost. You're looking for important pieces. It's cool. Obviously, hyperlinks, you know how I feel about that. This is really good. And this is a big, big adventure. 82 pages is a big adventure, right? I love that they did this. I think it makes a big difference. But the thing I noticed the most in 2-page spread is when they're ready to tell you we're switching topics, that shit is big.
Uh-huh.
Black, bold, in your face, title sequence. Here, we're going in. I like their title fonts, their second header 2s. These are really header 2, not really header 1s. This is the 1. This is almost like heading 3. There's no in between. I guess this would be your in between.
There is, yeah.
But I love that. And then they go right into this council format again. And the reason this is here is you're going into the timeline. This is the timeline on the right of the council. These are some of the descriptions. 7 Days of Bright, how it begins, and then the tolling bell. And they have this counter. And look at what they did. Simple boxes. Like if we zoom in on this and we go over, they immediately give you a counter. Like, hey, your people are on the clock. And if they get the 0, shit's over. It gets bad. But it's a very clean timeline. This is the page that you print. And it's in your notebook, Mark. Like this is the thing you just carry with you through all of it. I do think this would have been, I don't know if there's handouts for this game. You have read this way more than me, but I would want this on one side and the other side being like really important page numbers or something like that.
Yeah, they didn't do handouts. It's the only downside to it, but I think it's clean for what they're doing.
I was fixing the format. Sorry, guys. I was talking to him. I had to fix this because Adobe crashed, and I rebooted it in the middle of this. So we're talking about this timeline to the format here, and this lovely box at the bottom. And this does so much work as a console, but I would want this page and like one other page together as a printable sheet. Yeah, I know. I was on Facecam. I know. I was fixing Adobe. Again, Adobe, stop crashing. It's just the Acrobat. Everything else seems to run fine. Well, no, Premiere is garbage too, but classic Adobe Kiwi, yes. But I love this piece. I love that there's check boxes here too. Like that's something else. I didn't even think about talking about that. Anywhere where a GM can mark between sessions where they are and come back to it and know what's going on. Super cool. Live or dead? Are they dead or are they alive? Can I bring them back in as an NPC for later? This is smart.
Yep.
I like the Doomsday Clock. And then this 2-page spread. Let's talk about the rumors on the orange table. This makes me very happy. I love it because there's no art. We haven't had art. The only art was in an introduction, right? Everything else has been text, but it doesn't feel like it when you look at it.
It's all visual through the manipulation of text.
Yeah. That's an art. But this 2-page spread, starting an adventure. Here's where you're starting. Here's this. I do, and maybe this is in here, you'll know, I love when they tell you, read to this point before you start running. Do they do that at all? Or do they tell you just, you got to read it all?
I think it's kind of presumed because it's OSC that you read all of the setup part first, and then you could run from there. Because it does follow a lot of the conventions that you see in old school
Set with OSC.
Yeah.
Kiwi says that the rumors is too noisy for them. Do you think it's too noisy? I think when you're looking at it at a readable scale, it's not. Like that's
okay.
readable.
So this is an A5 book.
It is.
And I will say on A5, no. The other thing is also on A5, that orange is not as bright.
It's a darker orange. I think this is CMYK, and they did not do an RGB for their digital versions.
Well, that and it's just the paper absorbs some of that color.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's true too. It gets darker. But I just notice a lot of times, like, look, if you're doing a zine, you're a one-man army or just a couple people, you're not doing both versions for color.
But this is also, if you remember from the very beginning, the very first time you're seeing text you're supposed to read out to the party. Right? Because they had that big bar on the side, orange, read this out.
Yep. So that's what they're doing. They're basically identifying that this is the read aloud sections.
And then also just to the left.
True and false, baby.
So I'm okay with this being orange for the rumors because your rumors should be read aloud.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. How do you, with GMing, I guess I don't use rumor tables as often when I'm just running a game, right? Like I have ideas what I need to get out and I hand them out. But when you are writing an adventure and handing it to somebody to run, you got to give them some hooks, some ideas, some ways to spread out information. And I feel like rumor tables are a better version of regurgitating information to the GM to give out and then to feed to their people, like baby bird it to them. But the reason I like the rumor table better than reading block text is this is easier to pick out important pieces. Having to read someone's diary as a description is not a good way to convey information to run a game. That's how you write a book. It's not how you write an adventure.
So I do use rumor tables when I'm starting an adventure if I ever play anything that someone else has written for me.
Yeah. I'm saying when I'm running my own game, I don't use them that often. But
yeah, my own I don't. But I don't make the table. I just choose when it's my home game. Right.
That's different. But this is the difference between when you are trying to teach someone to GM. This is the thing that helps teach them to GM your adventure. It helps get the ideas across without like over explaining things. So I love rumor tables. I think they're great for adventures. I think that they serve a great purpose. And I think a lot of people don't understand what purpose they serve. Just talking to, like I've taught a lot of GM courses and rumors are one of those things that kind of put you in it. They give you a breakdown for the start. Look, 2-page art. Little Wizard of Ozzy feeling here to me. A little bit, right?
I love it because it is a good break. You just had a lot of text.
Yep. Take a breather.
We haven't had a map yet.
We getting there.
We just had setup.
Let's talk map. I love the orange for the buildings.
It's so good.
It's so good. And they even, again, they are teaching you. Whoops, let me just scroll over. They're teaching you locations. It's a 2-page spread. Location, location, location. And then over here you got this. The only part that is a little hard to read for me, and maybe it's different in the A5, this is really difficult to read.
No, it's hard to read on the A5.
I think I would have put this in a box or blur or something below. Like it needs something because it's really hard to read. Or I would have wrote it on the map maybe in gray instead of orange. That's the only thing on this map that bothers me. And I know these are cool and they are read out loud, so they're training you again, right?
Yeah.
But I would have taken these black dots and I would have put them here instead of the numbering. That is something I love on maps, where whatever icon you are using on the map should be what's next to what you're talking about. Yes, a 1-to-1 is good, but a black dot here and 1 and a black dot here to 1 is easier. Your brain doesn't have to transfer the design.
Yeah, it's more intuitive.
Yeah, it's way more intuitive. So I think I would have done that. I love the map. It's really clean. I love their use of trees as an artist. I love that kind of bushel, kind of shrubbery look to them. They're really cool top down. It's a very clean map. Very clean. Lot to do. Lots to do. I don't understand this choice as a designer. I don't know why you put the shoreline under it. Like, I just put a box over it. Like, you fucking know it's a shoreline, but that's me being a nitpicky cartographer.
Yeah, I think it was just they forgot to
erase it, stamp it out. Again, here, hard to read. Anything else on this page you can think of? Like, again, this is just that council design.
No, I think it does its job. The other thing is it's all bullet pointed. Almost none of the buildings that are being identified over there have more than 5 key points to them.
Nope, and they did also do referee notes in a gray box to help you out. And they changed the bullet point. I don't know if you noticed that. The bullet point changes.
I think it's only because it makes it easier to read on
gray. No, I think you could have done this in black. But I think they're just noting that it's yours.
Oh, yeah.
That's a referee bullet point, not a public bullet point. Then you got a 2-page spread again, a little art bookending, and it is a conversation across the page, which I think is sweet. I think that's a really cool, fun way to do those two things. And the lighting's correct, too. I don't know if anyone noticed that besides me. The light is coming from this side, and it spills in the back of them and on the front of him. And it just makes me... It shows forethought in layout. And it tells a story.
Yeah.
I love this. Really fun. Then we get into this. And this is where I don't know why they did it.
It's because they're night events.
Are all night events in black like this? Do you think it was to denote night to make you remember? Just a color code?
I think it is. Yeah. I don't think there are any other pages that are black. Let me double check real quick.
This was a design choice. I don't know if there's a right or wrong to it. I just was surprised. But I like Mork Borg when they break things up with using their black and stuff. So, I mean, I'm happy with it. I just was surprised because you're scrolling through like, boom.
Yeah, I think it's just to break it up visually.
Again, these stat blocks, I love this. I love this little scratch line denoting this is together. It doesn't need to be done, but anytime you put a color like orange or yellow on background, your brain skips. You ever been to a restaurant and you look through a menu and the thing they want you to see is like bigger font, bold, but it's like blue on cream and your brain skips it. It's like their deal for the day. It's whatever it may be. When you do menu design, this bar is what fixes that.
Yeah.
It stops you from skipping it. If you're wondering why that's there. I like the little orange background for the spider rats and stuff like that. And because it's 82 pages, you get to put the stat block right there.
It has the slight issue of padding, but that's okay.
Padding for the line?
Nah, inside the little box.
Oh,
it's not.
yeah,
even,
this needs to be bumped over. There's a thing there. A lot of times that's the program. Yeah. Or not knowing how to do padding inside of a box. This is a manual thing you would have to do.
Oh, on every single one of them.
Like this, you'd be doing this, you just bump this down to the next line. But if you change your stat blocks, you don't have to fucking worry about it. If you're making an image and fill out the corners of your image, I'm just fucking saying. You're an InDesign. But that's an extra level of love. Here you see it again in the as, stuff like that. I do agree. Yeah. It breaks up the format. And if it was in some, they have the space, it would read easier. Like visually going down the columns.
That, and it's always immediately after the mention of the creature.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like that. It's when you get 82 pages, you get to do fun stuff like that. Also, great. I thought this was a rust monster the first time I saw it. But it's not.
The little
spider
rat.
Yeah. So we go into like local, they give you local rivals next, which is cool. And then we're going to get into my second favorite thing. I love maps like this. They went back to like OSE, but instead of doing blue, they did orange for their map. I fucking love it.
Yep.
That's we know what we're doing. We know our audience. We know what it looks like, but we want it to be ours. We're making it our own. And they did. That's that example of it. They didn't need to give us art here either, but they did. This is one of those ones where they're like, let's break it up again because we're about to dump them a bunch of information. Reads easy. I'd have to see the page. You had the printed one. Do you like this box breaking everything, the image, and the final layout?
It doesn't faze me at all.
Okay, it looks good. In digital, It's a little weird because this is the only time I think they broke with a full solid background. Color choice, awesome art though. Again, you have your readmes, and then we have your information. And they have everything in parentheses for theirs, like THACO 1901 HP. They put things in that.
Another thing that they do that you kind of don't really realize right away is the gold amount for reward is almost always, not always, but pretty close to like 90%, the very last part of a sentence.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So if you look, number 6, clock, 50 gold pieces. Pretty close to the last thing on that line on the figurines right above it, 400 gold pieces. Yeah. 7, steamy bathroom, 120 gold pieces. It's almost always the very last thing. And it's training. It's
training. Yep, exactly. Anytime you do something over and over, repetition creates habit. And when you're making an adventure that's 82 pages, you need to create habit fast.
Yep.
What is it? If you want to, I'm trying to remember what it was when I was working out all the time, fucking doing guard work. I think it was something back in the day. It was like 5 weeks creates habit or something like that. Like there was a rule for how many times you had to do something the same day, same time.
Oh yeah, like habit. 30 days.
Yeah. It's like 5 weeks of it is how you create it. Also vacation, they say 14 days, 7 days is a vacation. But I agree. The shadow and light in the illustration changes to darker reds, which is pretty cool. I agree. I think that's super cool as well. And then an actual hex base on the nose with this one. Like this is a hex.
Yep.
Here's how hex work. I do want to zoom in on this one a little bit.
Yeah, so I will agree the spacing on the page can be a little cluttered, but they are trying. They didn't write it. It was written by someone else.
Mm-hmm. They just laid it out.
They just laid it out. So they're trying to do as much as they can with layout and the formatting as possible.
They're doing visual representation to fix stuff.
Yep.
I like this map. Again, this down here, it doesn't get as lost as the other ones. At least they're following concepts, so it's good. But there's just something about this that I miss when I'm looking through shit. I missed 2 Ragged Hollow a lot. And I think it would have been better as a bolded black text than an orange, maybe. Because they're heading locations. Or it needed to be as big as these.
I think as big as those would have been fine.
Yeah, I agree. But again, we're nitpicking near perfection for layout. Also good. This was a choice.
Oh, they're the stat blocks for the monsters.
I know.
On the table.
This was a choice, though. Like, you know, they thought over doing this.
Oh yeah.
Like, they put this here and went, are people going to think it's a table? That's the point. But are they? But why? Because, like, you know, they had this conversation internally, and then I appreciate this a lot.
Yeah, because they could have columned it to make sure they were right there, but they were fighting the space constraints.
Yep, and they found a smart way to do it by repeating what they've already trained you to do.
Yep.
Padding and all. Very cool use of this. Very smart. Also, this up here. Anytime you have a table that has something that you're going to have to repeat over and over again in the table, just put it above the fucking table. Just do this.
I also like that. Because the trail has 3 hours, 1 hour, 1 hour for the segments on the hex, the fact that they're telling you every 3 hours, you know exactly how much is being covered.
Yep, agreed. And then we're going to scroll down into one of my favorite art pieces in here. I love how dark it is. It's cool. And then you got your breakdown again. You know, cottage, we're basically taking this to here. You can't always have the map on a page of all your locations. This is one of those things where maybe 3 printable pages would be really cool at the end, like handouts, where it's, you know, that table you're marking all the time, and these maps in a smaller scale on the back might be a really cool thing to have so you can reference. Those are handouts. I like a good printable handout as a GM so I can bookmark my own notes. But that's personal preference. The handouts, I think, are the extra mile. I love this. It bleeds across the spread. Breaking up some gives you a little art on this page without being too much. And here's the other thing I was talking about. I like their, this is a table without having to be a table. They're just like, look, it's easy here. We don't need to break it up with our color-coded tables. Here's just some numbers. Figure it out. And then I like this. I kind of think I would have bolded these. I don't know about you.
Because they didn't... because their convention explains to you what bolding means, I'm okay with the fact
you can't
that
break
they
the
did
formatting. Yeah. Maybe a box behind it. Maybe something. I just feel like a GM will miss this. I mean, I guess if you are running this section, maybe not.
Yeah, because I think if you're gambling...
I just highlighted it just like I did there.
Yeah.
Like, just for myself even. Highlight your books. Don't be afraid. And then we get into these. Again, they have a lot of... Right here is a lot of call to action. All of this has got a lot of call to action. Bathe in the sun's rays. You know, you got the underline. They taught you what the underlines are for. It's bolded. It's in the orange. Like, this is important. And they put it at the top of all this before you start reading anything. This is just good formatting and good adventure flow. For a GM. It's a nice call out. I'm glad they did that stuff.
So this is basically a colored version of what we were describing doing with the look section on the Black Mask, right? It's the exact same thing. This is automatically, first thing you come across, the thing you need to read.
Yeah, so I'm doing something very similar for something I have coming out, and each zine is a different color because they denote different parts of a city. But I love that they did this here, and it's just proving how much you can get away with monochromatic design. Like, it just is. It's so cool. Is there anything else you can think of that's huge? Like, obviously they're doing the hex breakout. Is there anything else you can think of that really we should be calling out here?
I mean, the other thing to note there is if you go back and look at it, that read aloud text
here
goes across. No, if you go back to one more page. There you
here.
Go. That's an example.
The hut.
It goes across both columns.
It breaks visually. It makes you read it first.
Yep, and it's just, again, it's using text and fonts to create visual interest, because this technically is your H2, your heading 2.
Mm-hmm. Kind of, yeah. Or subheading, actually. It might be even subheading for them.
Yeah, it's just a smaller version of the big chunk.
Yeah, so I don't know if a lot of people know this, but text blocks are like when you're doing layout and you're placing all your images, doing text blocks that span across, or they're even like I've seen some 3/4 ones that do some really fun stuff, or using that drop cap, those kind of things, break visual flow up to stop somebody, make them read something, and then go back into, because we're trained obviously in many languages, but we're talking about English here today, obviously, where you're reading in a 2-column format, it's left to right. That breaks that up, and that's something that you can do to, if you don't want to place art and you have information to do, taking this piece and stretching it across both columns is a great way to break up visual flow and make somebody read something. Art again, super cool. Again, grids. Faint, though. I think it's even dotted. It is dotted and shaded. I dig this because it's easy for a GM to count. I don't think the printed map needs it. I still love the near far. Like, this room is a near room. This room's a double near room. Cypher system taught me to do it that way. It's such an easy way to describe it. Like, oh, double near, it's 60 foot. Like, people get it. Can I move anywhere in this room in 1 action? You sure can. Can I move anywhere in this room in 2 actions? You sure can. Like, that works really well for visual. Or not visual, but for verbal. This is cool. Really clean. Notice they had to break this because their title is too long.
Yep.
But they did it. Different hex, less cluttered. Also, why is this gray? Do you know?
Those are areas that you probably have already been at this point.
So it's carrying you down? Okay.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
That's proceed. Because you should have moved from Ragged Hollow into this.
I see.
Hex.
And these are the new locations in orange. That's smart.
Yeah.
Why aren't these gray then?
Yeah.
Grade, boulder font. Grade, boulder font. I favor watch this and be like, guys, stop pointing that out. We know. Or maybe they don't agree. Who knows? You don't have to agree either. Not every design's perfect. Or what we say isn't going to be perfect. Really clean. A lot of text that give you some visuals to represent what you could tell people. I love when you can get away with an image instead of having to do a big description. Love this image. This is a great... This almost could have been the cover of the book.
Yep.
It has a really good feel to it. What I am not seeing a lot of is the tilted text again, though, and I want to know why.
Okay, so one, the tilt is very slight to begin with.
Yeah, but this isn't tilted. Like, these could have been tilted text.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe stat block would look like shit.
Because you do see it, where you were just at... Nah, you just had one.
This isn't tilted? This isn't tilted?
51. That gray box there?
Oh, yeah, the gray is. I guess not orange all the time. Gray, too. Does the gray mean something different?
That's a...
Referee note?
Yep, it's for you.
Awesome. Smart. Thank you. I'm scrolling through here. I would have changed... This is one of those areas where I hate...
The fact that it mirrors.
When it mirrors. I set tile for a long time. And you pull from 3 packs when you set tile with anything that's printed, so you do not get a repeat pattern anywhere. And I don't like repeat patterns, especially in an 82-page book. But you don't see it here. I don't know if this is just a fucking mistake.
Actually, that may be the middle of a piece of paper for the entire thing.
Maybe, but I would have changed the image in half. But that's personal. Especially when it's 2-page spread for a table. You know what I'm saying?
What page is that? 57?
57. Love this bold wall. This is a great way to identify that things are thicker. You're not breaking through it.
You know what it is?
Is it the middle of the book?
It is. It's not a middle. Those are 2 separate pieces of paper.
Oh. Then it was just missed in layout.
Yep.
But this here, bold walls, means no breaky, no chance. Out external walls. Think about that when you do your maps, if you do maps.
Also, note, like, those maps are super simple. It is just the walls, just the
and it's
doors.
even faded. Like, I don't know if you noticed that, but this isn't a true... Yeah. It's a 90% opacity. Maybe 85.
It gives you context for how thick the walls are relative to the squares.
Yep, and they fucking do it here, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Super smart. I love it. I love that. I want to scroll quick here, see if there's anything else, because we got one more thing we need to touch on. I don't see anything else in here. I love these makeshift walls. This makes me really happy.
Page before, got another tilted box.
So this is, now, you notice it because it's long.
Yep.
I love that. I think that's great. I mean, this is just clean design, man. I should run this fucking thing. I hate running pre-written adventures, but I'm interested. Oh, appendix. That's the other thing I want to say. I love that there's an ended adventure. We obviously didn't have room in our 8 pages, but for fuck's sake, if you have room, please do this.
Yes.
Please do ending the adventure. This guy had a lot of room to cover. Like, whoever wrote this originally, and they're like, yo, 666 Doomsday, 100 like, they give you all of these different things for the counters. How to end if the crown of dreams is removed, if the characters fail to remove the crown, like, smart. And then the appendix, all in orange. Totally fine with it. Makes sense.
It separates it so well.
And then they have their own character sheet here. So I think the last 2 pages should have been a double-sided cheat sheet. I love when tables and long adventures are repeated that are important to the entire thing. The Doomsday, the Deadpool, and the I think the maps all could have been in one area at the end. Like, you can fit 2 to 3 maps to an area for the hex crawl specifically, so you can have it in front of you and look at the hexes as you're going through.
You have all of the maps on the inside of the cover.
They are. Okay, awesome. Why are they not here?
And the back cover. It's not in... So you only have the first cover, like, appearance. The actual cover is a... one of those traditional separate covers that you fold over.
Pull. Oh, that's right. It's like the old original modules where they pull apart. They should have done that in here, or it needs to be a separate file so you can print it like a GM screen. Because for those who don't know, a lot of people use the slip cover. Like, they weren't even stapled. They're just cardstock over top. You pull them off, and the inside had a map, and you kind of set it in front of you, and you'd work behind it. But this is a genius, clean layout, everybody. Like, if you just scroll through this, the word salad breaks up a lot. I could even done with another black page, I think, somewhere. Now that I'm really scrolling through it. But this is really good. And they were smart about adding big solid orange pieces to break things up, so on and so on. This is a great piece to look at for doing your zine at home. You don't have to go above and beyond. And thank you to Orion for pointing out that Adobe really did do it. I just wanted to yell at him because, you know, fuck Adobe. It did crash on me in the middle of this. So. But there is one more thing I want to talk about. Let's see if we can hustle through this. This is more reference. So when we were talking, we talk about fonts a lot as designers. And I think most of our conversation were going through adventures, finding examples of font families being used properly, which is why you had picked that one, because they really use fonts elegantly through that. But we were talking about what else do we do to help people with fonts without giving a font course? Like, if you go to design school, 3 of your 4 years is fucking fonts.
Oh my god, typography classes.
Oh my god, typography classes are every year. You don't ever get out of it. It never goes away. It's always there. You're picking the slightest thing. The first time you have to make your own font, you realize if that is for you or not. You either like fonts and like them from a distance, or you make fonts. Like, there's a level of insanity involved in making your own font, especially if you do a family. Like, fuck my life. I don't think fonts should cost as much as they do, but that is a conversation for another time.
As someone not willing to sit down and create a proper font family,
I ain't paying $700 for a fucking font family.
I understand why they cost that much.
Yeah, it's too much. So we have 2 things here that we're going to present. And one of them, I don't know if a lot of people know, Google did some work for you.
Yeah.
So let's go over to Chrome here. Let's kind of bust through this for the last 10, 15 minutes here so you can walk your dog and all that jazz. Google has a great set of fonts. They didn't in the beginning, but my God, have they stepped it up.
Yes, they did.
So here is the page I'm looking at right now for anybody who wants it at home. Put this in your books. I'll put them in the show notes down below afterwards as well for people who are watching this later. Also, if you are watching this later, down below, put your favorite font family. If you're a font nut, I love learning new fonts. And you'd be surprised. New fonts drop like every day. So if you have a new font, a title font, or a body font that you really love, put it down below, because I think it's going to be very diverse for people who are using them, and why you love them, and go through. Maybe I'll showcase a font here at some point in time. So This is an amazing piece. This font knowledge is going to teach you more than we can teach you. You just got to do some fucking due diligence.
Sit with it.
Yeah, sit with it. And they go from choosing type to open type to web fonts to essentials. Then they go into variable fonts. And what the difference is, and I'll click it just to show, they break this shit down. The anatomy of type. Like, the things that they do, this is years of college, man, at your fingertips. And granted, you have to take the time and dedication to do it yourself. I always say, keep it simple, stupid, because it matters with fonts. Pick 3. Pick 3. One better be a family.
Okay, so we should probably give some basic nomenclature. A font family is
here. Let's just go to the one here.
Yeah, they have all of your different kind of applications, and most of your symbols, glyphs, are what we're normally referring to. Like,
so which one were we using when we were talking? It wasn't the new one. We'll talk about that in a minute. But like, what's one in here that we were looking at before? We changed the filter, wasn't it?
I was using Noto-sans, which is what was the one right there at the top.
Yeah, it doesn't break it down in the way I'm looking for right now. I want the font, like one that just has all the family. Like Roboto, I think, has a ton of stuff.
Yeah, that was the one we were.
So, for example, in here, you can type anything. We could be like, learn, shit, stupid, right? So, like, whatever you want to type in here, doesn't matter. Whatever it could be. It could be a stat block line, whatever you want to do. And it allows you to adjust your fonts on screen so you can see what they're going to look like as long as your browser window is 100%. And you get to look at this. But a font family, and I think they call it something different in here. It's not called a family in theirs. Because you can't use that specimen. Yeah, they call them specimens. Whatever. It's a family. I think it's a copyright issue, right? So you can see the different versions of thin 100 italic, light 300 italic, regular. And if I put this at 10-point font, 12, we'll do 12. It's small. And you can really see the difference in readability.
Yeah. But all of this is the family.
This is the family of what is this? Roboto, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the family.
So this is what you should be using as your main body font.
Yep. Especially when you got bold, italics. Italics don't look right, which lets you pick one of these other ones. Like when we were talking about taking regular italic, wasn't that what you were saying earlier? For the one where like the italicize was hard to read.
Oh yeah, the regular italic. So what happens?
But in this one, you would just use light 300 instead.
Or I would use. Yeah, I tend to take out the italics and just go with a different font with, personally.
Sure.
But because when you italicize something, it has this illusion of being thinner. You want to scale it up in its weight for it to have the same appearance. For some fonts, this is not always the case.
Do you like regular or medium for your bodies in general?
I prefer regular if it's on white. I prefer medium if it's on texture.
So like here's medium 500, and then this is the italicized version, a different. Like they're teaching you, like they're showing you everything. If this is such a man, I think Windows and Mac used to be like the king of font stuff. I think this is better than anything either one of them. Even like Suitcase, all that stuff. Organization is different for fonts. That's a 1 terabyte issue. But this is genius. It shows you everything with just a click. And then you have your type tester up top, and you can even drag and drop. Like before you even get into your InDesign, if you're just doing your brain dump and you want a font that looks good, once you have your body font, go to it every time. Who gives a shit? But this lets you put things in and see what it's going to look like. And they even let you color it and stuff here. Honestly, this is better than Google Docs. This is cleaner than Google Docs. This is a really smart way to go about looking at your font and studying families. But they do one more. And we didn't talk about this a lot because I don't think many designers use glyphs. And they should.
Yeah.
Because there's some fun glyphs in here, in specifically in your numbers, right? Where you get halves and quarters. People don't know this shit exists.
True.
But here's
so
the big one.
This is why you want a font family, though, because they're full with.
They
almost always have all of the glyphs done. Whereas, like, if you get a display font, it's usually just the letters, because it's designed to be a display, like a title.
That's cover, your biggest headings, things like that, where if you're missing a mark, that's because you're going to recreate it in Illustrator or by hand or whatever. Like, if you're missing, sometimes you don't get quotes. Sometimes you don't get an accent. Sometimes you don't get an ampersand. Sometimes you don't get the @ symbol in them. Specifically, when you go to like 101 fonts, there's a good chance that when you hit one of those, it's going to say download here or something like that, because they didn't make this shit. You're not going to get that. It's not happening. I don't even know what the fuck that glyph is.
Yeah, so the pro fonts are multilingual. That's because they're making font families. They're not just making a font.
True.
Right.
That's very true.
If they're making just the typography for it, it's usually a display font.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
that's a thing of time, knowledge, and skill. That's why a lot of them also don't have that. It's easy to make a heading font, to be honest with you. You're making two versions of the alphabet in English, in uppercase and lowercase. You're not even doing, like, there are really smart fonts that know when certain letters together that they need to be adjoined, right? We're not even getting into that stuff. That's his legal symbol? Thanks, Kiwi. I didn't know that. Is that what that is? What the fuck is that the legal symbol for?
That's a sigma. It represents section in a lot of documentation.
I think it looks like a chain link, and I would abuse it for something else. But like crosses, like right here, this is how what the hell is it? Death in Space got their glyphs, because all their bullet points are crosses in theirs, right? So there's some really cool things you can find in these families that you can use and do stuff with that you may not know about. So keep that in mind when you're looking through. Like, look at this stuff. You might see something that sparks something for you.
There's also, you can use these glyphs, because some of them are arrows.
Yeah.
To denote direction for your adventure. Like, if you're exiting the room, boom, right there. You just have a little arrow in the bottom of your adventure area section. Go that way, it's arrow to the right. Arrow to the left, boom, goes that direction.
And then if you're a creator that doesn't speak English, obviously your native tongue is something else in general, a lot of these languages cover your ass. Like a lot of these fonts do, that are the family ones. It's important. And I'll be honest, anything you want to do with a fancy font, which is what I always call them, the ones that only do headers, honestly, with a little bit of work, you can do the same thing with any family font. There's a reason that there are staples like Ventura and Modesto and things like that. There are families that are Helvetica, because you can do anything with them with just a little bit of love. You can do anything with them.
Yeah, and a lot of them have been around long enough that they've been able to develop for every language as well.
You got it. But yeah, you can get some really fun stuff out of these. Like, if you click this one, for example, and it tells you learn shit stupid, and then down here it says choosing types of fonts, they tell you what's here, and if there is another language for it or not. So this is the one thing I definitely wanted to showcase, was this, right? This has these in these languages. Pretty cool. Like, you can see which ones they are. The other thing we want to talk about is the knowledge courses. Choosing type, open type. This is important. If you don't know what open type is and you really get into design, go through this. You need to know what an open type is. It's not what the word says. We're not going to break this down right now. If they want a more advanced font course, we could always take time set aside, do a font breakdown, and really go through things. But this teaches you a lot. Web fonts are also different. If you're doing something for web pages, if someone did a lot of web design, web fonts are important. For example, if you're using Stream Elements, only certain fonts can actually be pulled from your web browser and used for things on screen, right? It has to be a web font. If it's not, it doesn't fucking work. So those are some things too, sizing, formatting, so on and so forth. That's important. Essentials. This is the breakdown. I honestly think if I were to tell you what to do, choosing this and essentials are the two that I would hit.
Yeah, and just to give you one quick piece of advice on choosing fonts, because it's something that we didn't mention during the review of Nightmare on Over Ragged Hollow, but it's something that was visual that was happening throughout. If you look at the titles, you'll notice that almost all of them were a sans serif font, but the body was a serif font. It's always a good to
I can pull it back up real quick.
Yeah, make them opposite of one another.
In this one, you mean?
Mm-hmm. All the titles, introduction's big, chunky, sans serif
Fatty.
font. Mm-hmm.
Family.
Yep. But and the rest
fancy
of the body,
fancy and family.
Yep, but the body is all serifed.
Yep, it is. Yeah, if we zoom in here.
And it's serifs are easier to read on paper. Sans serifs tend to be easier to read on screen.
Yep.
So
again, also, just like life, there are shit that break rules.
Yeah,
okay?
And they break the rules in this adventure as well. Because if you go to the appendix, it's all sans serif.
Yeah, here we can do that real quick.
And then the titles are serifed. See? Appendix 2.
You can break rules. And the rule that I will say, I'll tell you the biggest mistake that has happened currently in media, let me see if I can pull this up, is Twitter. The X in Twitter, right, is fucked up because they did not do a visual check. When you see this X, let me hold on. Let me see if I can just find this. And this is like a good this is the rule break. X in Twitter is bad. I just want the image. There's a breakdown that talks about how they didn't misalign it. When you break an open shape this, when you break an open shape like this, these are aligned, technically speaking. This is a straight line. If you draw lines on each side, they're aligned. But because there's a gap in the middle, and it is an X, it shifts. It shifts the fucking line. This is one of those things where visually, you gotta move it. It's a visual check. It doesn't work. You gotta bump it down. Just a couple pixels, man. And then extend that top up to match the top still. These are things that are like way advanced, but this is logo design problems. And you're a multi-billion-dollar company. You couldn't figure this shit out. Elon, did you make this? I'm just curious. But anyway.
No, he asked people on Twitter.
He asked people on Twitter to make it.
Yeah.
So those are one of those things where if you don't know, I would highly recommend just keeping it to simple things. But go through these knowledge classes, man. They're really cool. They're really good. They're very clean. They're well done. They tell you how to even do things in other languages if you need to. I would recommend getting a translator. You're better off because grammar. Look at this. Look at this. Who fucking knew? You know what I mean? Like, they did the research for them. So go through this. Go through their icons too. They have a whole icon library here. A lot of these are copy and paste, everybody. There's some really cool stuff in here as well that you can use for your maps and indicators and so on and learn from it. And then their FAQ is actually pretty solid. I wish their FAQ would have stayed in this format, but it is what it is. And then the last thing, this is all you, buddy. I think we closed on this one. Why do people need to use this font, this typeface?
Oh, Noto Sans?
Yeah.
Noto Sans is... Okay, it's my preference, but it's a font that is designed to work in every language. Like it has a kanji, it has a it works in Arabic, so it has everything. So you can translate and have visual clarity across the board. But on top of that, it's also designed for visual impairment to some extent.
Yeah.
And that just, if people are dyslexic or have
one
any
extra
type
mile,
of color,
man.
color blindness or anything like that. It just helps.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, you kind of turned me on to maybe using this. I like how it looks. It's such a clean. It has a lot of the things I love about fonts in its base.
It is so
structure. It's super clean. So if you don't know about this stuff, check it out. And then the second thing that you brought, and I forgot about this one, is this page. Butterick's Practical Typography, 2nd edition. Check this out. If you don't know about it, this is a really good resource. I'll put this in the description down below as well. I'll also put it in chat for people who are here for chat. This is another really good thing to have in your tool arsenal for like, am I doing this right? Like sometimes I just retouch on this shit. I will also say, style guides like we had in the 90s and into the early 2000s, like the Chicago style guide, things like that, there's some general knowledge in them. They don't work for game design or adventure layout. I really wish somebody would put together a style guide for OSE, a style guide for 5e, a style guide for Pathfinder that teaches you the visual and verbal language that's being used, along with punctuation, typeset. I wish that was there. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of those. Maybe you'll get lucky and find it on Reddit somewhere. You have to do that research. But knowing the fundamentals allows you to do that. And this person breaks it down really clean. Like if you click this and go into it, hey, break it down.
Yeah, and this was originally written by a designer for lawyers to make their documents less abhorrent.
Oh, you mean so the general consumer doesn't want to blow their brains out when they're fucking reading it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even judges.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that too. Yeah, judges, they're common. But no, like seriously, this is another really good resource. I forgot about this. There's more of them out there. If you find one, share them in the comments. But like, we wanted to give just a basic overview and some tools to use. Google Fonts, I use this more and more. And for those of you who know, I'm doing my stuff in Canva. Yesterday, I learned something new in Canva, and I'll close on this. When you are in a layout, like here, I'll pull this other one up that I'm working on. When you're in a layout, I didn't know this, but there is in File, right down here, where are you at? There is Settings, check Design for Accessibility. And it's exactly what you think it is. You can click this button, and it'll go through and tell you where you fucked up, what's usable, what's not, if the color is good, the contrast is good. And it does it for every page. So if I had stuff on these other pages, it would do the same thing. So if you're looking for another way to check things, most design softwares also have them. So if you have Affinity, I know Affinity has it. I know InDesign has it, although I think InDesign needs an update. I think Affinity's is actually better. Is there any other parting notes that you want to do before we close out so you can go walk your dog and I can get some food in me?
I think we covered quite a bit just on font and layout and everything. I think next time, maybe we do this again and we go over our monster stat block.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have opinions.
We do. We do.
And they are very different.
We do. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we'll set up another one and do a monster stat block. The reason we say that is we believe that monster stat blocks are... My opinion is, it is something that differentiates normal layout from TTRPG layout, and it is something that needs extra care to teach people and to make it visually appealing, because I believe stat blocks become word salads. And in Shadowdark, unlike 5e, we don't have, or Knave, which is the current game jam, right? You don't have art for every fucking monster. So there has to be a way to denote some things, and we have some ideas. And we were talking about that. I think that was another part of our long conversation. So you may see some of it. If you're in the Shadowdark stuff and you're in the game jam and in the design one, you may see some of our ideas for doing monster stat blocks. You'll probably see some improvements. Change isn't bad. Anyone who thinks change is bad, the one thing I would tell you is get over yourself. Change can be good. Don't bitch about it. Change can be good. It just has to be done right, and it needs to be seen a few times, and then you get to make that judgment call of if something works or not. Some things are bad out of the gate, but other times, man, sometimes things are just easier. And I think we can do something to make stat blocks better. I think that's kind of what we agreed on, right? We can make them better.
Oh, yeah.
100% better. Other than that, everybody, thank you. First off, thank you for joining me today. I hope this was fun for you. We talked 5 hours the other day. We're like, oh fuck, we gotta go to bed.
Yeah, that was me.
I hope this stuff is fun for you. Well, if you want to do this again, we'll have you on. We'll go through something else. Maybe I'll bring Allie on for some deep font classes, as she can rake our brain over the coals for fonts. She is an amazing fontress. Is that a word? It is now. Allie, you're a fontress now. It's like a mistress for fonts. I'm going to clip that. That's going to you. I'm directly sending it to you. But that's it for here on EFP Live, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're in the chat and you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll go through all my comments. You can find me in the Discord. You can find me in my Discord as well. Some of you have already joined over there. We play games, run things. My Living ETHUANTIA campaign will be starting back up here really soon, which anyone can come play. On top of that, I teach a lot on GMing. I have a new course I'll be putting up in YouTube Sphere about GMing games and how to handle problems as they're thrown at you. But most of all, our shows start back up tomorrow. We're the second, third, and fourth week of every month. Monday is Breachers and Shadowdark. It's my own Shadowdark setting. And then Tuesday is ETHUANTIA, my soul punk Victorian horror setting using Dragonbane. A lot of stuff going on there. If you like live shows and you want to interact, we use stream loot cards on those shows, and you can come throw cards down and we use them. We call you out on stream as we're doing it, and you get to roll dice and stream and just have fun. But that's it for us today. My sign out for this has always been watch, listen, learn, be a better gamer, and stop bitching about AI art. I saw you. You know who you are. We'll get over it. It's going to be okay. We're going to find a way through the murky mire of AI art. Just, it's a tool. It's a tool that can be used. You don't have to bludgeon everybody with it. We'll get there. Until then, have a great one, everybody. You can say bye, too.
Peace.
What he said.